The Riders' offense has shown flashes of brilliance, but it's their defense that's keeping them undefeated.
Over the middle, it's intercepted.
They've allowed a league-low 37 points. Drew Tate's season is over. Now Kevin Glenn must shoulder the load in Calgary. It's the Riders and the Stamps next.
There he is, Weston Dressler, small in stature but always putting up big numbers. Darren Durant's #1 target. He's also the newest member of the Dog Pound by way of Snoop Dogg.
Nick Lewis, call him Nicasso, got 25 catches on the season. At this pace, he'll have 150, breaking Daryl Mitchell's record of 130.
And this is Brendan Labatt back after one game injury absence. He brings that physical presence to the Riders line. Local boy down good. The Riders courted him. He chose the Riders. He's a very good offensive guard.
Well, welcome into our studios once again. Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, and Milt Stiegel, Jock Climby at the controls once again. We are looking forward to this football game, guys. Calgary needs a win desperately. They've lost the last two. They have the best run defense in the league. They've scored the most points offensively, and yet they're struggling.
Yes.
What do they need to do to get a win?
Well, I think continue to pound John Cornish. I think this guy was missing piece the last couple games and finishing games. We talk about Corey Sheets, finishing ball games. Well, I think John Cornish just needs the football in his hands. First game, he had 21 touches for 114 yards and two TDs. The last two games combined, only 22 touches for 90 yards. I believe John Cornish is the answer to Kevin Glenn's woes right now, Schultz. Give him the rock and let him make it happen.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking Eric Frazier can have a big game, and we were hard on him last week. We were hard on young Eric, but hey, he wasn't physical. This game, he'll have a chance to be physical. Darren Durant, I'm for sure, will go downfield and test this young Eric Frazier. Yeah. How would it feel for you to be the first one to cause these Saskatchewan Roughriders to have a turnover, cause a fumble, cause an interception, Eric Frazier? I'm looking at you. I'm looking to see if you can get a big hit. What do you think, Schultz?
If I'm any member of that defense for the Calgary Stampeders, I am so sick and tired of hearing the Saskatchewan Roughriders, all this about, 3 games now they haven't given the ball away. Right? Look, if I'm Jawan Simpson, I'm saying I'm getting the ball. I'm going to look at Malik Jackson and say, Malik, what are you going to do today? Malik's going to say, I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to say, Eric Frazier, those TSN guys, they're pretty tough on you. What are you going to do? I'm going to get the ball. Corey Mace, what are you going to do? I'm going to get the ball and bring it up. Get the football. The most important thing is this thing. If they want to beat the Riders, they got to get the football.
Get the ball.
I think they'd be well advised to put this man in the uniform, give him a helmet, and send him out there. This man
get the ball.
Fired up.
Yeah, we are too.
Looking forward to this football game. Hey, Saskatchewan, the only team in the CFL, believe it or not, guys, that have a road win. Calgary obviously wants to put an end to that streak, and we'll see if they can. Kickoff is coming up next. Robert Jarosh of Calgary, Alberta. You could win a 2013 Nissan Altima if the kickoff is returned for a touchdown on today's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned for a touchdown today's game, you could win $1 million. Now to McMahon Stadium, to Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Jock. Rider Nation invades McMahon Stadium in Calgary for the first clash of 2012 between the CFL's only unbeaten team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the 1-2 Calgary Stampeders. Over 32,000 fans on hand on a glorious Thursday night in the foothills.
For the Calgary Stampeders, one of the most important aspects of their offense is their running game. They've got to get the ball to John Cornish more. You heard Matty talk about it. Just 10 carries for 36 yards a week ago versus Montreal. On the other side of that line, Odell Willis wants to stop him. Corey Chamberlain says he's been the spark plug of this defense, but he's injured. We'll have our eye on him tonight.
Going after his second road win of the year, Roughriders only won 2 away from Mosaic last season. On the other sidelines after the tough Eastern swing, 0-2. John Hufnagel's crew happy to get back home, and a priority this year to be better at home. And it's early, but Suits, this is a big one. Saskatchewan wins. They already would have a 6-point lead on Calgary in the standings.
Best thing for Kevin Glenn is to get that game and what happened in Montreal a week ago behind him as quickly as possible. He'll be the starting quarterback for Calgary tonight and for the foreseeable future, with Drew Tate on the shelf with his injured shoulder.
Stampeders swept the season series last year. They've won 5 straight against Saskatchewan. First and 3 in 2012 as Chris Milo kicks it off, and the explosive Larry Taylor from his 6. Up across the 25-yard line, and he'll get dragged down there as Kevin Glenn leads the Stampeder offense onto the field.
If you missed it a week ago, Kevin Glenn threw that interception late in the game. Montreal came back from 12 points down. He'll have John Cornish in the backfield. We talked about the importance of getting him involved. 13 touches a week ago, just not enough for the star tailback for the Stampeders. Nick Lewis is off to an outstanding start, 25 for 264 for Lewis after 3 weeks. The go-to guy, and Nashawn Goddard to play that right tackle in the O-line.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL, and it's 8 teams. And here's Cornish slashing off the right side, and a big first down pickup at the 40. Outspoken earlier in the week saying if we establish the run, we dominate games, and he wanted to get back to that.
Well, especially as Kevin Glenn continues to evolve in this offense and take those #1 reps in practice and get more comfortable running the offense. If they can get Cornish going, it'll give him that much more time.
Just 36 yards rushing in Montreal, 44 from scrimmage for Cornish, who rips off 11.
Wow.
And Odell Willis quickly into the backfield ahead of the snap.
Had to be ahead, or that was the best takeoff I've seen. Odell Willis a little nicked, as we mentioned off the top. And
offside, Saskatchewan, number 11. That's a 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Missed a little bit of the work week and practice time. Corey Chamberlain felt it was okay to rest him because he has been a spark plug. A guy, of course, is very vocal, talks a ton in the huddle, talks a ton on the sideline and in the game, and there he goes.
So 1st and 5 after the penalty. Again, Cornish right side this time. Sliced down in the backfield by Tyron Brackenridge. The Will linebacker getting in there for a tackle for a loss.
That's run defense. That's Brackenridge showing some great speed and explodes through the hole. There's Odell Willis, the starting defensive line for Saskatchewan. You go to the linebacking core. Tyrone Brackenridge, one of the 3. Abraham Croma, 5th in the league in tackles with 18. And then in the secondary, one change, Nick Graham, who's been a healthy scratch, is back in the lineup for Whitney Tureen.
Willis bouncing around. 2nd and 9. Kevin Glenn to the air. First time he's got Nick Lewis. And a 2nd down conversion catch for the leader in that category.
Well, and it's an amazing stat, Chris, because the leader in the category, he has now 11. He had, after 3 weeks, 10 to move the chain. So when the Calgary Stampeders in 2nd down, they look to Nick Lewis. The 9 other eligible receivers for Calgary have 12 combined. So when they need it, they go to 82.
Now under 500 yards away from 10,000 in his career. A first down Calgary at their 51. Big to Cornish, some time, and then back inside. Flag down as the pass for Cornish is broken up. There is Croma, leading tackler for the Roughriders with 18.
It's just an amazing stat, though, that almost the same amount as the rest of your team.
Illegal contact, Saskatchewan, number 16. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Eddie Russ draws the flag. Last week, just 15 yards of penalties for Saskatchewan, 3 offsides. That's 2 penalties on this opening drive.
Don't think there's any question about this illegal contact. And I guess you can say if you're going to get illegal contact, go full.
Just sent a message to Robbie Bryant.
Although he did cost his team some yardage.
1st and 10 again. Cornish looks for room off the right side. And brought down again by Croma.
Think of this team defensively against the run. Abraham Croma has played well. Shamari Williams has moved to that middle linebacker spot, and then Tyrone Brackenridge is the rotating linebacker, the guy who is going out and doing a lot of the covering. on the third receiver. But against the run, they've had some issues. Ranked 7th after 3 weeks, giving up 108 yards per game. One more reason for John Cornish.
Backfield empty, 6 receivers out. Underneath the throw, and Larry Taylor hit immediately and brought down by Nick Graham, trying to re-secure that job on the corner after sitting for a couple of weeks.
Tereen's hurt, so Graham gets another shot. You know he's fired up to make sure that he makes the best of this opportunity, and a good read there to close quickly. But I thought a good series for Kevin Glenn, for the Calgary Stampeders, after what happened a week ago, to settle things down, move the team, few first downs, look pretty sharp, set up a field goal, or a punt here.
A punt because John Hufnagel not gambling with the 49-yard field goal attempt.
Exactly.
And isn't that a comment on the state of the Canadian Football League early in week 4? The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Mentioned a good series for Kevin Glenn. 3 first downs, 1 by penalty, but he did move it out of his end, put his defense in a good position, got field position. And I'm with you, Chris. I thought 49-yard field goal is one that Calgary would go ahead and try, but with the return game the way it is this year, it's a tougher decision for coaches.
Yes, Tristan Jackson's 129-yarder last week may have discouraged John Hufnagel early this week. 31-yard punt by Maver. And the Roughriders will start at their 11. Darian Durant surrounded. He'll throw it away.
It's a Saskatchewan Roughrider offense that has not turned the football over in 3 straight games, led by Corey Sheets out of the backfield, the guy who has closed out the last 2 wins for Saskatchewan. They needed to kill the clock. Rob Bagg injured on the 9-game injured list. Jordan Cisco will fill in for him. And on the offensive line, they get Brendan Labatt back at left guard.
2nd and 10. Sheets stays in. 5 receivers out. And looking downfield, and again incomplete. Nobody home. Just 2 2-and-outs last week against BC. And they'll start this one with a 2-and-out deep in their own end.
Well, on that 2nd down play, Darian Durant needed a receiver to get open. He had the protection up front, but he could not find a receiver looking to the short side of the field. So you credit that play to that Calgary secondary. Specifically, Fred Bennett, who's now playing the short side corner for the Calgary Stampeders with the injury to Keon Raymond.
So Larry Taylor waits near midfield. And Milo 4 yards deep in his end zone. Decent kick. Taylor back at his 48. And Larry Taylor into Rough Rider territory before he is drilled down. In on the stop is Greg Newman. 51-yard punt, 13 on the return. Turning point a week ago.
It sure was, and the talk of the town here in Calgary, there were other mistakes, and you win and lose as a team. But Kevin Glenn was the focal point of a lot of criticism this week about that throw that led to the comeback, finishing off the comeback for the Montreal Alouettes.
Alouettes with 2 touchdowns. He had 1 minute to win that one in the late stages. Glenn will try and dump this off, incomplete in the neighborhood of Nick Lewis. Well, Kevin Glenn has the ability to shake those mistakes off.
You give credit to Montreal, they won the game, they came back and won the game, but at the same time, you leave there feeling like, man, if I could have had that one throwback, this might not have, it might not have turned out like this. So, but you got to forget about it. You got to have a short memory, especially playing quarterback.
Spoiled a terrific second half, 200 yards passing in that second half.
Well, it really was. I mean, he was playing very well in the 3rd, early in the 4th.
2nd and 10, and he converts here. Catch is made by Mark Quay McDaniel. And down at the 35-yard line, the Stamps have a first down. McDaniel with 14.
You saw the 267 yards, just the one mistake. It was a crucial one late in the game, but Kevin Glenn completed 72% of his passes in Montreal. Hostile territory, on the road, had a 12-point lead. It slipped away, but it looks like it's behind him.
Had a stretch of 16 of 18 in that game last week for 187. First down, back into the hands of Cornish, ducked away from Hawkins, and gets beyond the line of scrimmage when it looked like the Hawk might drop him for a loss.
Well, and this time Brent Hawkins comes off the edge so quickly, focusing on one player and one player only, and that is John Cornish. I'm going to show you how quickly he's going to come around this corner and not worry at all about Kevin Glenn on the fake. Kevin Glenn may go to the coaching staff and Dave Dickinson after this and say, look, let's maybe try the bootleg out of there.
So second and long, Glenn in trouble, and he is dropped. Let's see if they rule him down before he threw the football away. Brent Hawkins leading the surge.
He really did, round the corner quickly. Back-to-back plays for Brent Hawkins. The first one to cut off the run. Then this time he goes up the field and around Edwin Harrison. And he and Tay George, the former Calgary Stampeder, get there.
So it's third down, and this time the field goal unit comes out. So John Hufnagel didn't want to try from 49. He will from 46.
Interesting.
Jackson awaits. Rene Paredes puts it through. Midway through this first quarter, the Stamps strike first.
With way more than
3-0 Stamps. Let's head to the sidelines. Here's Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. Keon Raymond is missing his first game since he came into the league in 2008, and he did admit that his personal Ironman streak was on his mind, but the game is bigger than any one player. But today or tonight will be anything but a day off for Keon Raymond. He is going to be heavily involved on the sidelines. He says it's important for him to let this secondary know exactly what he sees on the field because it is a fairly young secondary, and they're facing a good team in the Roughriders.
And a guy who knows all the positions.
And there's his replacement, Fred Bennett, who will move to the short side corner to take over for Keon Raymond. He was playing the wide side the first 3 weeks and doing a real nice job out there. Now they'll move him into that short side. More passes in that area.
Ball bouncing down, and on the return, Corey Sheets. Captain of the Stamp Special Teams, Greek Sheets.
I tell you what, the cover teams are starting to take notice, aren't they? They're starting to take a little pride in their jobs too, and say, enough of these guys running back kicks. Mark Calix comes up and bam, nice. That's all about want-to. The cover teams, yes, you have to be disciplined.
10-year vet Mark Calise, Tim St. Pierre, the long snapper and reserve fullback, shaken up on the kick cover.
You have to be disciplined in your lanes. You have to know your blocking assignment before the ball is kicked. But after that, it's all the want-to factor, and that was a big hit.
I can't imagine any special teams coach made it comfortable on their kick cover guys in the past 2 weeks in practice. Double tight ends, Durant pulls and now dishes it off, and this is Justin Harper. Harper into the lineup, and the Roughriders anxious to unleash him. That's his biggest play. Back in the lineup this week after being a healthy scratch against BC.
Comes across the formation. He's going to kind of sneak in there as a tight end almost, in behind that tackle, then come in motion, get an outflank. The Calgary Stampeder defense uses speed to the outside. Almost lost the handle there. Well, did lose it, but tapped it out of bounds himself.
22-yard gain for Harper, who might be hearing footsteps with Terrence Jeffers-Harris now in Saskatchewan camp.
Whoa!
Bust in the backfield, and Dressler pays for it. Quincy Butler unloads on Weston Snoop Dressler.
Well, the timing is off on the play for Darian Durant, and he might have just, in retrospect, he might watch the film of this because Watchie goes the wrong direction or Corey Sheets goes the wrong direction. Because when he turns to make the fake, there's nobody there. The timing a little bit off, and then the throw in behind Dressler sets him up for a kill shot by Quincy Butler.
Well, we've seen Calise, now Butler. Buckle up tonight. 2nd and 10 from midfield. Getzlaff and Dressler in motion, and a flag flies.
I was going to say, Chris, sometimes when a play, the timing is off like that, the quarterback's best decision is to just take off and run, pick up a couple.
Number 4. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. 2nd down.
Let's take a look at that starting Calgary defense. There's Torrey Davis up front. He's been making an impact. Leads the defensive line in tackles with 9. Also has a sack. Jawan Simpson's the leader of this defense. If I were picking an all-star team right now, he'd be my middle linebacker. Then you go to the secondary, and there's that change. Jamar Walls to the wide side. Fred Bennett goes from wide side into the boundary to fill in for Keon Raymond.
Third penalty against the Roughriders in this opening quarter, matching their total of all of last week. Now 2nd and 15. 6 receivers go out. And Durant takes a shot downfield up from Hill. Can't make the catch. Butler in coverage.
Defense fired up. A couple big hits we've seen. Started with the hit on the teams by Mark Kalitz, and then moved to Quincy Butler, who comes up, makes a nice hit on Weston Dressler, and then is in perfect trail position on this play. 7 tackles coming in. That means he's been tested over the first 3 weeks and passed with flying colors all of those tests so far.
Here's Milo. And Taylor backpedals to his 11, trying to get outside. And he gets tripped a bit by Butler to slow him up. And he's finished off by Newman. Well, the Calgary Stampeders are the highest scoring team so far in the Canadian Football League, but not everything's been going great. In the first game of the year, John Cornish was off and running, 21 touches in a win over Montreal, and almost the same number of touches in 2 games, both losses. Four times he's had the ball so far. This time, LaMarcus Coker takes over. A pass in the flat complete to Chris Bauman, who returns to the Calgary lineup.
Got a theory on why that may be for Dave Dickinson and maybe going away from John Cornish a little bit. One, they wanted to see a little more LaMarcus Coker, and that's been part of the plan from the beginning. The other is, since Drew Tate went down in Toronto 2 weeks ago, Dave Dickinson's been focused on making sure Kevin Glenn is up to speed and feels comfortable in this offense, and may have just gone away a little bit from looking at that balance.
First down catch for Bauman. And early movement here. Let's see if the Roughriders jumped or were drawn.
There was just confusion in the Calgary offense as to where people were supposed to line up. It looked like Glenn was trying to call the play on the line. LaMarcus Coker looked a little confused, was on the right and then moved to the other side of the formation.
Procedure on the Calgary center. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's John Gott, the Lethbridge product.
See LaMarcus Coker, he's trying to listen in. He's going, where am I? Okay. And finally, John Gott said, I've had it long enough. I'm getting rid of this thing.
So 1st and 15 at the 25. 5-pack of receivers. Played into the flat. And nearly picked off Eddie Russ was poaching on the play. The pass intended.
Wow.
For Robbie Bryant.
And that would have been deja vu for Kevin Glenn. Almost identical throw, almost identical spot on the field that happened a week ago to Gerald Brown. And Eddie Russ had that same jump. And I thought this was going to the house. But the ball a little bit high, and he couldn't corral it.
Calgary, number 82. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Boy, that would have planted a seed in Kevin Glenn's mind had this one turned out the way it did a week ago.
Eddie Russ, who took the job from the veteran Lance Frazier at defensive half, an interception last week. And out 2nd and 15 after the penalty to Nick Lewis's decline. 3-man rush. Glenn looking for McDaniel. Incomplete. Chris McKenzie with help from Craig Butler. Double coverage on Markway McDaniel.
Well, first of all, confidence in Kevin Glenn to throw it into that double coverage. But you're right. I mean, Chris McKenzie was right there and over the top. Craig Butler, who's got a couple of interceptions already in the season and is not the starter in the secondary. 28 was to the right of your screen. He's going to be over top. They'll play with 2 safeties, Craig Butler and James Patrick back there. Kevin Glenn had to have confidence in McDaniel to try and thread it in there.
There's Tristan Jackson, 248 return yards last week. As Maver boots it, and Jackson from his 46. Got a little something there across midfield before he's brought down. Tackle on the play made by Keenan McDougall. Well, it's the first time that stat has happened in 10 years in the Canadian Football League. A team 3 consecutive games without a turnover. Eventually, you'd think it might change.
Well, eventually it will. But for now, Darian Durant is not only pushing the ball deep as he did in week 1, but he's making those decisions, those smart decisions, and we've even seen early tonight that if it's not there, he doesn't try and force it. He'll throw it out of bounds, let his defense get on the field. He has confidence, and they're playing as a team. Week 1, they won on offense. Week 2 on defense. Week 3 on the special teams.
He has not gone 4 consecutive games in a season without an interception. Great fake there, and the pitch. Here's Sanders coming around the end, kicking it outside, inside the 30, and then tripped up. Jack Sanders into the lineup in place of Lewis Rankin, and that's a big 28-yard play.
Well, sometimes it's the athlete, sometimes it's the execution, sometimes it's just a great play call. And this is the great play call. Corey Sheets pulls the attention of Juwan Simpson just enough so he loses contain, and Sanders gets the edge. Shows his speed in the open field.
Sanders, a game with BC last year, had 240, or checked at 234 all-purpose yards in a game against Hamilton. See him on returns as well right now, lined up as a wideout. Another play fake, and Durant's got an open man and short hops the pass to an open Chris Getzlaff. Well, we've seen a different philosophy with Darian Durant this year under Corey Chamberlain, more as a point guard quarterback.
He and I talked about this offseason, him being like a point guard, drive the lane when it's open. If not, dish the ball out, or simply, take that 3 when you have it. So he has a lot of potential to where he can run and throw the ball, but you can just see the maturity in him right now.
Stamp showing blitz here. Frazier backs off. 2nd and 10. Right back over the middle, and Getzlaff, who has had a history of playing his best against Calgary, comes up with a catch and a big first down.
Really does. Closing in on Weston Dressler as far as yardage goes, number 2 on the team. Watch Darian Durant find his throwing lanes. In the pregame show, Matt Dunnigan talked about how important it is and how the Riders have been working with Durant to slide his feet sometimes to find the throwing lane so he can throw around his O-lineman. He did there.
7th second down conversion catch for Getzlaff, one of the leaders. First down, Sheets looking for a crease, and he'll be dropped at the 11-yard line. 4-yard pickup for Corey Sheets.
But I think that philosophy that Corey Chamberlain has with Darian Durant and the way he's been teaching him to be a point guard, distribute the football. Don't think too much about dropping back and trying to hit X receiver, Y receiver, doesn't matter. Distribute the ball. You don't like it, drive the lane. And Darian Durant, who you know plays a lot of basketball in his spare time and in the offseason, completely understands and has bought into that philosophy.
Hughes out, Cisco back into the offense. 2nd and 6. Rough Riders looking for 6. Durant complete, gets left, dropped at the 2. Quincy Butler saves a touchdown. But the Rough Riders have another first down, their 1st and goal.
Good protection up front that time for Darian Durant. Had lots of time to wait for Getzlaff to cross. That took some time to develop. Getzlaff coming from that tight end all the way across the formation, and when Durant had that kind of time, he could wait for him to open up.
Short yardage team comes on. Drew Willie with Hughes and Sheets in the I formation. Sheets, second man through. Touchdown. He has a touchdown now in 4 consecutive games, and the Rough Riders have the lead.
Take a look again up front. Thought Corey Sheets was in the end zone before he got touched. Neil Hughes, nice block there. And a down block by Chris Patrick.
2-yard plunge, capping a 6-play, 54-yard scoring drive. Milo, the extra point, as Corey Sheets chalks up his 4th touchdown of the year.
Averaging 81 yards a game. And if you missed our pregame show, we talked about Corey Sheets and the importance he has been to this offense, just the type of yards he's getting, whether they're backed up in their own end and they need to get a couple of first downs to get out of trouble. They've relied on Corey Sheets, or to finish games. They've asked him to carry the ball when they want to run the clock down. Everyone knows they're going to run the ball, and yet they still had success in the first 3 weeks. And that's when you know you have a running game.
Talked to Corey Chamberlain about him yesterday, and he mentioned when they first saw him work out in March, so-so, and in fact wasn't invited to rookie camp, but when he got there for the main training camp, that's when he started to impress. He was in game shape and back in college form. Purdue. He was a star at Purdue. And as you heard in the pregame show, right attitude to learn the game, and boy, he is becoming a huge factor early in this season. Riders lead, Taylor on the return. Slides across the 30 and brought down there. Breckenridge in on the stop.
Looks like John Cornish will get a chance with the offense in this series. It was LaMarcus Coker the last series, and there was some confusion in that offense, got him in trouble. He ended up punting the football away, and that's when Darian Durant put together his scoring drive.
Under Drew Tate, this offense started quickly. They've outscored their opponents 35-14 in the opening quarter so far this year coming into this game. But under Glenn, just 8 points last week in Montreal in the first half. On a roll, downfield, wide open. Johnny Forzani drops the ball. Well, somebody missed an assignment, but Forzani couldn't bring it in.
You're right, there was a bust. Eddie Russ is looking at James Patrick, and they're talking about it on the way back to the huddle, but either way, Johnny Forzani, he's frustrated because he wanted that football thrown a little bit further down the field, and he goes walking into the end zone for the major. Kevin Glenn on the run, and you could see the bust.
Mays or Russ got their signals crossed.
Even though that was underthrown, Johnny Forzani should have had that catch.
Missed opportunity. 2nd and 10. Now Cornish can't make the catch out of the backfield, trapped by Shamari Williams, the middle linebacker. A couple of drops for Calgary and a 2-and-out.
It's important juncture of the game for the Calgary Stampeders, even though it's early on, first quarter just coming to an end, for Kevin Glenn to get with his receivers, get with his running back, maybe Dave Dickinson involved, and just kind of talk it out. There's frustration. You can see it in their body language. You can see it in their faces. Now they have to get back to the sideline, regroup, and come back out united.
4 consecutive incompletions for the Stamps. Maver the boot. Tristan Jackson at his 30. Good downfield cover there. Led by Duron Mayo. Well, the All-State, All-Canadians Mentorship Cup is back for a second year. 42 of the best bantam age players in the country will be learning from star NHL talent with team captains Taylor Hall and John Tavares. You can watch the game Saturday on TSN beginning at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So a touchdown drive for Saskatchewan, a 2-and-out by the Roughriders defense, and the visitors have some momentum here as the first quarter draws to a close. Should be the final play. Play action fake and back inside to Sheets. And he gets tossed down by Brian Bolke. The Stanford product on the final play of the opening quarter. Roughriders with a 4-point lead. Our first quarter stats are brought to you by Rona, proud partner of the Canadian Football League and its 8 teams.
Yeah, the stats almost identical for the two teams when you take a look at the numbers, look at the quarterback passing, and that's bang on. So that one drive for the Saskatchewan Roughriders really the only difference in this game. And as I mentioned, Chris, Calgary's got to get it together. They look like they're starting to reel a little bit.
Well, early on, twice in scoring position on their first 2 drives, and just the field goal to show for it. And as you mentioned, the momentum shifts a little bit in this game, but really neither team is full throttle yet, are they?
No, they're not, but Kevin Glenn is going to be the leader of this team for a while now, and he's got to have this team offensively buy in and become a guy or a team that's completely behind him as a starting quarterback. And you could see frustration in Johnny Forzani's face, in John Cornish's face, and they can't give up on Kevin Glenn.
Start the second quarter. Saskatchewan 2nd and 5 from their 38. Big time pressure, and the pass for Hill incomplete as Durant had to hurry the throw and gets helped up. Off the edge, Charleston Hughes helping lead the charge.
Just 1 sack on the year after 3 games for Charleston Hughes, but you know that number will grow quickly. With his quickness unblocked, and it was a matter of Durant trying to get it out there before he got hit. Had to take one and couldn't get it to Ephraim Hill.
First Milo. Taylor under that at the 25. Sidesteps Hucklack and now bursts through. And a good return up near the 50 and maybe 1 step away from busting it.
Yeah, well, this will help. This will help for the confidence of this offense now to have good field position set up by Larry Taylor. Seen the great speed he has. Look at the jukes he's got right in the middle of traffic. Nice little momentum pickup for the Calgary offense. Now let's see if they can carry through with it.
47-yard punt, 23 on the return. Kevin Glenn starts at his 48. Cornish in the backfield. Off the right side, close to midfield for John Cornish.
The pregame show, Matt Dunnigan talked about what Kevin Glenn has to do, and he's played a little quarterback in his time, about getting the guys to buy in as the backup. And that's about looking in their eyes, getting up there in the offensive line, take a look at those guys right in the eyes, say, don't worry about where we are. I'm going to take control of this situation, and we're going to start moving the football. That's a good start. Give it to Cornish. Get yourself in 2nd and 4.
Four-man rush. Glenn going deep, and this time he's got Johnny Forzani. Hit him in stride, and it's a big gain down to the 17-yard line.
2 things different than the play that they dropped. One is that Kevin Glenn puts it out there in front of him. and he lets him go and get it. But the second, and maybe most importantly, Johnny Forzani makes sure he secures the catch. I mean, if he catches that in stride, he might continue to go. But this time, rather than think about running before he has secured the football, he goes in and secures the catch first. That'll get their confidence back.
39 yards to Forzani, biggest play of the year for him, and a Calgary wideout. Quarterback draw, and Kevin Glenn has it sealed up quickly by Keith Shulligan and company.
This is the veteran in Kevin Glenn. Understanding that the confidence was waning a little bit. There was some frustration, so he's going back to that receiver that was frustrated. Hits him with a deep one. And then you know what he does? He goes quarterback draw and takes a big hit. No hook slide or anything. He just takes a hit in the hole to show his teammates, hey, I'm going to put it out there for you guys.
So 2nd and 8. CF82's on the playlist. It goes to Nick Lewis. Ball popped loose. They're ruling a catch, and he'll be marked out right at the first down step.
And just like that, confidence is back. John Cornish to start the drive. Nice throw down the sideline. And then go to Nick Lewis.
Not much advanced scouting needed to figure out on 2nd and 8 deep who they might go to. Injured Saskatchewan Roughrider back in the end zone. Eddie Russ is down.
Had a little trouble putting any weight on his leg there. Let's take another look at the Nick Lewis catch. Boy, that gave you a good glimpse at what the quarterback sees, or in some cases can't see, and has to trust that he knows where the route's going to end up and that he's got a sure-handed receiver at the other end. And does he ever with number 82?
So Lewis, 2 catches, 20 yards so far in this game. A couple of options for Corey Chamberlain without Russ. He can bring Tristan Jackson in at the corner and maybe move Terrell Mays inside, or he could also go to Craig Butler.
And take a good look right in the middle of your screen. There is Eddie Russ. See what happens to him as he breaks to this out. And you can see, looks like he pulls up. Back of the knee, maybe calf. But there are options for Corey Chamberlain to juggle the secondary. You mentioned that Tristan Jackson has played corner. Could rotate right in there.
Jackson already in the huddle, so that's
what they're going to do.
That's the first option. And while Russ continues to get attention, we'll step out here early, 2nd quarter at McMahon. So Eddie Russ gets help to the sidelines, as we've mentioned. Tristan Jackson will come in and play the wide side corner. Mays moves inside, and the Calgary Stampeders are 1st and goal at the 5-yard line.
3 changes for 1 injury. Jackson to wide side corner, Mays to halfback, Nick Graham from wide side to short side corner.
First and goal, short drop, end zone toss, broken up. Chris McKenzie working against Mark-Wade McDaniel.
Well, there's proof that quarterbacks don't go after matchups as often as they just run the offense, because that's the only guy who didn't change positions in the Riders secondary was Chris McKenzie, and he is in good position here.
Good recovery there. 2nd and goal from the 5. This time for Lewis. Battle for it, and Nick Lewis has got it. Touchdown, Stampeders. And Nick Lewis has his 4th here in week 4.
And it was a battle, and if you're going to throw it up as a quarterback, this is the guy you want in that battle, in the trench with you. The strong hands of Nick Lewis working on Tyrone Brackenridge, but stepped out to cover that third receiver inside and was in great position and lost the battle at the top of the route.
He's getting better. 9th year. What a terrific start for Lewis. Already 28 catches and 4 touchdowns as the Stamps are back in front.
Three receivers for the Calgary Stampeders from the outside in. He's the third, 1, 2, and number 3 receiver is Nick Lewis. And Nick Lewis is going to get that matchup on Tyrone Brackenridge. The linebacker's going to step out on him. Little swim move, pretty good position. You can't really cover him any better, but Nick Lewis wins the battle.
Another Nicasso, 6 plays, 62 yards. The touchdown drive for the Stampeders.
Put that thing on all man. Put that thing on all man. This ain't rookie.
He was pumped up a couple of days ago when the TSN Funniest Athletes Top 10 came out. And he was in the top 10.
6, I think. Number 6, wasn't he?
Although he tried to sell the teammates, he was right behind Muhammad Ali. And Kevin Glenn had seen the show and said, no, Ali was 1. You're number 6.
He's a character, man, but I agree with you. He's getting better. I mean,
They jumped straight up. I wish we had choice back in the playbook. What's up, everybody back in Texas, baby?
Tristan Jackson back. Up across the 20, 30. And dragged down at the 37-yard line while we mentioned the top 10. That's how it sounded a couple of days ago on TSN.
What's up, TSN? LT! I'm at to see a psychiatrist at the shit we going through right now. I got a lady to my right. I got a lady to my left. And we about to go put Edmonton on the shelf.
you got to have fun playing this game.
Just doing what I was best to do. That's it. Let's go, D. Let's go.
So the Roughriders trail by 3 once again. They take over at the 36. Short drop. Catch made by Harper. 4-yard pickup at the 40.
Now, what nickname is he going with now, just to wrap up this?
Well, it used to be Geronimo.
Right, I remember that one. Okay.
Okay.
Nicolo Dimes. Okay. Simon Sleepwalker.
I don't know if the man genius had legs. Did that last very long? Never dull.
And let me get it straight though. He comes up with them, right?
Never dull in Nick Lewis Nation.
No.
Second down. Durant steps up. And the point guard finds a lane and runs for a first down into Calgary territory. He'll step out at the Stampeder 50-yard line.
Exactly what he did. Drove the lane, took it straight to the hoop, and then got himself out of bounds to save a hit. But this has been the instruction from Corey Chamberlain. You see a lane, go ahead and drive it, just like a point guard would. Save the hit, no need to go upfield there. 20-yard gain.
4th first down run of the year for Darian Durant. High shotgun snap. Sheets attacks the right side, turns the corner, cuts back in, and still going. Corey Sheets dropped at the 2. Brandon Smith saves a touchdown, but that run tells you why the Roughriders are so excited about their new tailback.
Well, and he gets a key block off the edge because he knew immediately that he was going to hit this hard without reading anything to get around the corner. And Chris McCoy couldn't get wide enough. There's the great speed. Watch this little move. Not going out of bounds on Eric Fraser, the safety. Slides inside and takes it right down to the doorstep.
48 yards, his longest run of the year. And now do they call his number again? Drew Willie, short yardage crew is in. Sholigan at tight end. And will they throw there? Touchdown! Neil Hughes. First touchdown of the year for the Rough Rider fullback and former Regina Ram.
Keith Sholigan was waving his hands looking for a pass, but
I thought he was the guy. We've seen that before.
You're right. He's the tight end here, and then coming out of there was Neil Hughes, and that's the safer throw, the right throw, the good decision, and a solid catch.
9-year vet of the Rough Riders, a touchdown. That was quick, 4 plays, 73 yards, and a 48-yard burst by Corey Sheets to set it up. It's going back and forth here in the first half at McMahon.
Let's take you back to the big Corey Sheets run. You're going to see some key blocks. Chris Patrick, Neil Hughes, receivers Justin Harper. Watch Weston Dresser get in there, and that's why Corey Sheets takes the corner without even hesitating or looking downfield. He's got the blocks he needs. Great speed to get around the edge, and what a move on Eric Fraser at the end of the run there to get it right down to the doorstep, and Neil Hughes finishes things off after making a block on the long run. The fullback out of the backfield. There's your payday for that big block.
12 career touchdowns, his 6th as a receiver. Got the makings of a good football game. The first Western opponent for Calgary this year. And a rivalry that has escalated in the last few years. Taylor back from his 10. He's been close, and he gets hauled down. There's Sam Hurl, the former Calgary Dino, who has made a huge impact. That's his 2nd special teams tackle of the game, his 8th of the season, and that takes the league lead.
Boy, and he was excited to get back here and play in front of family and friends and his high school buddies from back in Centennial High School here in Calgary. Say hi to his coach, Rick Crawford, from high school here, and he wanted to get back in, and even though he's playing for the enemy, to play in front of friends and family here in Calgary was pretty cool for him.
2-time Defensive Player of the Year in Can West, and his coach Blake Neal said he was ready to play special teams in the CFL last year. Kevin Glenn hands it off, and John Cornish is taken down. There's Shamari Williams again from the middle linebacker spot, not letting Cornish turn it upfield.
Shamari Williams closes from the inside out, and Terrell Mays from the outside in, and that's the trust that you'll have in your teammate. Because if Shamari Williams thinks he's by himself, he might overrun that and create a cutback lane for John Cornish. He knows he's got support from his secondary. Plays it perfectly.
Loss of 1, big edge for the Rough Riders in rushing yards so far. Glenn looking to convert, intercepted. Tristan Jackson, and now they're saying no catch. Ruling incomplete. Jackson a little sales job, but that reaction afterwards looks like he knows it wasn't the pick.
He tried to sell it, didn't he? And what a break on the football. The timing a little bit off on the throw.
And it did pop loose, and right on the scene was the umpire, Adam Paradowski.
But why not try and sell it? That's correct call was made. He gets up, indicates first down.
Well, he wants to be back on the corner and nearly made a big play. In any event, Rough Riders get their hands on the ball, and here is Sanders on the return, and he'll take over that spot with Tristan Jackson on the corner. Well, it was a familiar face and a familiar voice singing our national anthem prior to the game. There's the former commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Tom Wright, who's standing by with Jermaine.
Thanks, Chris, and excellent job on the anthem, Tom. And Tom Wright is now the Director of Canadian Operations, UFC. And it's certainly been quite the week here with the main event coming up, 149 on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's been a great week here in Calgary. Calgary fight fans are some of the best in the entire world. We've got Uriah Faber fighting Renan Barão in a championship belt situation. The fans here are in for a real treat. If you haven't been to a UFC live in Calgary or in any place, it's the best experience ever.
Tom, as you well know, the 100th Grey Cup will be celebrated this year. And as a former commissioner of the league, what do you think it means to Canadians?
You know, the CFL is simply part of our fabric of what makes Canada distinct. And the Grey Cup is that celebration. It's a classic East versus West, the time when the country always comes together in November over football. It's part of what makes us distinct. It's part of what makes Canada such a great country.
Thanks for this.
Pleasure.
UFC 149 tomorrow. Happened to bump into a couple of those guys in the gym.
I heard that. You were working out with them, aren't you? Now, was it one of those things is not like the other?
Yeah. I stayed on the move.
There's former Commissioner Tom Wright and, of course, current Commissioner Mark Cohen on his right.
And Dana White. Yeah, Uriah Faber, Randy Couture, and many others in our hotel this week. I think a few future middle linebackers if they were interested. Second and long after that loss to Sanders. Anybody home? Durant rolling, looking, running out of time, and wisely throws it away with Jawan Simpson, the current Calgary middle linebacker, applying the heat.
Darian Durant at the end of that wanted to try and draw a penalty flag from Jawan Simpson, and I think the right call was made to keep the flag in the official's pocket. Jawan Simpson chased him down. He was patient, and Durant hung on so long that it was almost simultaneous. Watch the hit coming, ball thrown. That's good, no flag.
Milo to boot it away. And Taylor under this at the 19. Gets to the edge and down the sidelines. Another big return for Larry Taylor. Pushed out in Saskatchewan territory at the Roughrider 46. That's a 44-yard return for the explosive Mr. Taylor.
It has been fun to watch this year, the return game. I mean, these guys, there are some talented returners with a 65-yard wide field, and they've got 5 yards when you're right along the rail like that.
Neil Hughes just enough to edge him out of bounds. Averaging over 250 return yards per game early this season. McDaniel's got a catch, and he is wrestled down at the 30-yard line, and now the Stampeders trying to take charge after Larry Taylor set the table.
Well, let's take a look a couple of weeks ago back in Toronto, week 2, and here was Larry Taylor keeping the Calgary Stampeders within range in this one. Again, another real close game. The Stamps almost came all the way back to win it and forced Toronto to a late field goal to win. But that was a huge return for Larry Taylor there, and he just offense, great field position.
Glenn rolling, end zone, tipped away. Big play on the corner, Tristan Jackson. Remember, he was disappointed that he lost his starting quarterback job, and it's another good play by Jackson on the corner here, replacing the injured Eddie Russ.
Yeah, it's been a couple of good plays by him, but I like the decision from Corey Chamberlain. And I think that what we've seen in the return game and how important it is and how explosive it can be, you want that returner as fresh as he can possibly be. Tristan Jackson had the 129-yarder. Now, if he has to run deep routes like that throughout the entire game, is he going to have the energy to run back a kick?
2nd and 10, and Calgary's got to call timeout, and there was more confusion there.
Calgary.
Saw John Cornish raise his hands, and they got to get on the same page here at the Calgary sidelines.
Yeah, they've had a couple of times that they've shown that they're a little bit confused, and Dave Dickinson will try and push this offense and Kevin Glenn to get up to speed to where Drew Tate was.
I was going to ask you, is this because they've had to reset after the injury to Tate,
who is standing right back there in that arm sling, that made the decision to go into surgery, which I think is a good decision. Get it right, no second guessing, and let Kevin Glenn take the controls for now.
Out 4 months, likely the year, but not necessarily. There is a chance Drew Tate could be back late. Second and 10. Glenn rolls, pressure, and the pass out of the reach of McDaniel.
Shamari Williams was secondary contained, and that rattled Kevin Glenn a little bit. Give him credit for hanging in there, but Shamari Williams, his job is to flow, but he's the secondary contained if the quarterback bounces it. And watch how well he plays that role here. He sees that the edge is open, closes quickly, and that's the hit Kevin Glenn takes.
It's like he's growing into that middle linebacker role.
Yes, sir.
So Paredes on to attempt a 37-yarder, 6 for 7 on the year. And he hits another. And now it's a 1-point game with just under 4 minutes remaining in this first half. We'll meet the gods next door, four brothers with the faults, flaws, and desires, some ordinary mortals. The Almighty Johnson series premiere Monday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on Space.
Thank you to the Outriders for helping us out with that promo.
And we'll have more on them later.
You know, Corey Chamberlain set the table for this team early on in training camp with Shamari Williams. Shamari Williams came into a meeting about 2-3 minutes late. He had some traffic issues or something. And he went from first on the depth chart at middle linebacker to second behind Mike McCullough, setting the tone that if you're late, you're wrong. He learned and moved right back up quickly.
First down, 35-yard line. Sheets tracked by Charleston. Hughes will ride him out, dropping him for a loss.
I'm trying to get that ball up right there.
And you could hear it on the sideline. Charleston Hughes and the rest of the Calgary tacklers saying, you're trying to get the ball out. That's why he didn't pull him down quickly. He had him under control, and so he runs him to the sideline, trying to rip the football out of the arms of Corey Sheets. Trying to get around there and get to that football.
The other defensive end, Chris McCoy, helps finish him off. 2nd and 11. Pressure, stepping up. And does Harper have the catch? No, incomplete. And it's a 2-and-out.
It's a 2-and-out, but again, that's a case, 3-man pressure from Calgary, and Durant shuffling in the pocket to find his throwing lane. I found it fascinating in the pre-game show, and Matt Dunnigan talking about the importance of that and how he works with Kahari Jones, his quarterback coach, on shuffling his feet, pushing back from that shotgun quickly. That one was a little bit late and it was out of bounds. They'll have to punt, but it's a good example of it.
4 2-and-outs and an errant snap brings Milo back into the end zone, and he'll eat it back there. And it's a safety that will give Calgary the lead. High snap, and it cost the Roughriders 2. Errant snap by 6-year veteran Corey Hucklack costs the Roughriders the lead.
And that is the injured Rob Bagg trying to help him out. He didn't really get hit. That's just an error on the snap, something you don't see very often from Corey Hucklack. And how about Rob Bagg trying to do what he can, even though we can't do anything on the field on the 9 game with an injured ACL, but went right to the bench immediately to say to his teammate, don't worry about it. Need you out there for the next one.
Milo kicking it off from the 25. Good boot. Taylor across the 35-yard line and taken down at that point by Chroma. So the Stamps, fourth lead change of the game, have the ball with just under 3 minutes left. And a 1-point advantage.
So none of the game plan has to change for Kevin Glenn. Cornish important. He did have success and got that drive going that ended with the Nick Lewis touchdown. That drive started with John Cornish.
Here's Cornish and tries to kick it outside and does bounce away, making something out of nothing. And John Cornish ends up with 6.
John Cornish was very nonchalant about getting there for that play. I know he knew he was getting the football, but I don't think he wanted to tip off the Rider defense that he was getting the football. Because as he's walking out, watch number 9 right here. He just kind of slowly walks out there. Don't bother. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. Nothing. It's all fine here. Everyone talk amongst yourselves, look away, and then bam, they give him the ball. Breaks a couple tackles and away he goes for a good game.
He talked this week about not being a downhill runner, more of a slasher, and it seemed the last couple of games he was shut down up the middle against the Montreal Alouettes in particular. He was minus yards in the first half against the Als. This week it's been more, until that play, more concerted outside runs for Cornish. Second down, Kevin Glenn into the flat, and the catch made by Bauman, and he'll be close to the first down stick.
And that throw proves to me that Kevin Glenn does have a short memory. He had to throw that ball about 40 yards for about a 7-yard gain, and he threw it right to the sideline, and he threw it with Mays closing quickly. So you have to have that short memory. Don't worry about that getting picked over there.
Not sure he wants to make that a habit, though, does he?
It's a long one, but
first and 10.
Mission accomplished.
Now we'll go to the far side for Bauman, his old Ticat battery mate.
Another wide side out.
Late flag, and is this going against Calgary? I believe it is. It looked like Terrius George, the former Calgary Stampeder, took a shot late from one of the offensive linemen.
Unnecessary roughing, number 67, Calgary. 15-yard penalty after the play, first down.
Dimitri Sumpas.
Well, there's no question it's a call, and it's an unnecessary penalty that seems to have been an issue over the last couple of weeks. They improved in the yardage area last week, but go ahead and run it here, and I'll show you where Sumpas is. He's going to be right in here, and watch how he comes along and turns, and bam. Unnecessary hit, the ball's long gone.
And Dave Foxcroft, the referee, was about a yard away.
They were better, only had 50 yards in penalties in Montreal, but some of them, the timing was just terrible in the penalties and really hurt Calgary. One of the reasons Montreal was able to come back from down 12 points.
So first and 10 at the Stamp 44. Flag down, and Glenn dropped the football, and Robbie Bryant picks it up. They're ruling fumble. Again, a flag down on the play, and you wondered if that would be an incomplete pass or and it appears to be procedure against Calgary.
I thought his arm was going forward when he let go of that, and it would be an incomplete pass.
Offside, Calgary, number 89. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
So that's Bauman as they march back 5 more.
Okay, well, the penalty brought it back no matter what, but it wasn't going to be, I don't believe this would have been a fumble advanced anyway. His arm's going forward when the ball comes out.
Odell Willis around the edge, lost his lid. 1st and 15. Pressure, dumped off underneath, and Cornish is stuck there by Brackenridge. Up at the 45. They get about 6.
Well, Cornish had to gather that football up, and when he did, by the time he got it together, it gave Brackenridge a chance to step up into this hit. So it's kind of in his legs there, and that extra second, he had to go to the sideline and regroup.
Spotted at the 47. 2nd and 8. Glenn steps up. Kevin Glenn reaching out, but looks like he'll be a yard or 2 short of the first down. Just over a minute and a half left, and the punt team does come on for the Stampeders, and Roughriders will get one last chance to reclaim the lead before halftime.
I think they got the spot right. Like he was about a yard, which would have been a decision for John Huffnagel, but I think they got the spot right. They're about 2 to go.
Timeout, Saskatchewan.
Roughriders stop the clock here. Don't want to let Calgary burn off the whole 20 seconds.
Exactly.
And it'll be Sanders awaiting at the 15-yard line. And as it turned out, the addition of Sanders this week turned out to be fortuitous, with an injury that forces Tristan Jackson back into the defense. Neighbors boot, fielded at about the 16-yard line. And Sanders dragged down by former Saskatchewan Husky Keenan McDougall and company after a 42-yard boot. So 1:16 away, and then we'll have the halftime show with the new host, who looks like a keeper, Jock Climbey, Matt Whiteshoes Dunnigan, Chris Schultz, and Milt Stiegel. And among the topics, Nick Lewis and the way Darian Durant bounced back to lead a Rough Rider touchdown after Calgary had claimed the lead. Remember Billy Whiteshoes? I don't know if you played against Whiteshoes. There's a pass batted down, and Charleston Hughes, who the guys were talking about in the pregame show, has been a factor in this first half.
I had to wear white shoes because it makes you look faster. I couldn't afford to wear black shoes and look any slower than I was. Here comes another nice speed rush from Charleston Hughes off the edge. Or, excuse me, Hugh Char. Yeah, there he goes. Hands up in the face. If you can't get there, make sure you get your hands up. Charleston Hughes, another good speed rush off the edge.
Number 51 in the CFL.
And moving up quickly.
Poll, top 50 poll. 2nd and 10. There's Dressler, a catch. And close to a first down, should have it. He's been quiet in this first half, Weston Dressler.
Boy, he certainly has. But that first game of the year with 13 catches, 180 yards, and then all of a sudden defenses thought, okay, that's a lot of yardage for one guy, and we better start paying a little more attention to him.
4 catches, 29 yards last week. 4th in the league in receiving after week 3. And now looking deep for Getzlaff, and he can't reel it in. Had a step and couldn't make the play. Working against Chris Randall, the new strong side linebacker in place of the injured Demetrius Morley.
He's had some big games against Calgary, and he gets the matchup. The ball is thrown absolutely perfectly because it throws him to the outside shoulder. Randall was in a chase position, so any kind of underthrow or inside throw he gets to. We give him credit for grabbing that left arm and pulling it down, so Getzlaff couldn't get both in there.
7 touchdowns in 12 games against Calgary in his career. 2nd and 10. Durant hit as he threw. It's incomplete. skipped into the hands of Cisco.
Did you see that low throw, though? He felt the pressure closing on him.
Got a flag down, and Durant got up agitated, and I think did Torrey Davis take an unnecessary penalty here that's going to extend the drive.
Unnecessary roughing, face mask, number 98, Calgary.
Wow.
15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And that theme continues for the Stampeders.
Boy, that could cost points. They were going to have to punt with under a minute to go, and now the ball up near midfield and a first down for Saskatchewan. And Davis, who has been so good in the early going, goes to the sidelines to cool down.
He was working on Brendan Labatt.
First down, quick hitter, Dressler catch in Calgary territory at the 50, and he has 6.
Let's show you that penalty on Torrey Davis, and you be the judge. I mean, there's Davis there, and here's Brendan Labatt going one-on-one. Now, Labatt's going to take him and push him to the ground. I think when he was lying on his back, Torrey Davis rips the helmet off of Labatt there. That's what drew the flag, and then Labatt got himself out of that scuffle.
Here's a pass for Ephraim Hill, and his first catch is a first down as he gets to the 45-yard line. Brought down by Corey Mace, but Hill extends this drive.
But if this ends up in points for Saskatchewan, every point important in these close games. And again, that was a theme last week and the week before in those Calgary losses, that penalties at the wrong time that extended drives.
Roughriders pretty efficient in the hurry-up, 7th play of the drive. Back to the sidelines, Harper's got the catch, and he'll be pushed out short gain. Brandon Smith there, but stops the clock with 23 seconds remaining.
And that was a case of Darian Durant wanting to manage the clock because he has Getzlaff on a corner route wide open, but he wants to get it out of bounds here quickly and just get himself in a good position. That corner route's wide open, but he takes the short flat.
You're telling me 89's next up? Let's see. Dressler and Getzlaff to the short side of the field. Looks like it'll be Dressler, and he'll get out of bounds. First down, they're in field goal range, and still time to do more damage.
This time Calgary switches things up. They make it look like Eric Fraser's going to come down and cover Getzlaff. He's right here, and it looks like he's going to come down, and I think Getzlaff's thinking, okay, one-on-one. But what they're doing is rolling Malik Jackson back to the middle. So they are going to go with the free safety back there, and then they drop Eric Fraser into the zone. So trying to confuse things, but Durant just drops it off and moves the chains.
First down at the 30. Durant looking for Getzlaff into the corner, touchdown! The Stamp Killer's done it again.
As they continue to move around on defense, the chess match continued, and this time Durant did see what he wanted with Getzlaff on the inside receiver running the corner. He's going to get locked up on Eric Fraser, who's trying to chase him from the middle. He finally gets the matchup he wants. He gets the leverage he needs and puts the ball right on the money.
Good call, safety.
Penalty by Torrey Davis. Costly at this moment.
Otherwise, Calgary would have the football and still would likely have the lead. Milo the extra point. Instead, a 30-yard touchdown strike to Chris Getzlaff. 25th career touchdown, and 8 have come against the Stampeders.
Take a look at his last 13 games versus the Calgary Stampeders, just shy of 1,000 yards against that team alone. 8 touchdowns, and that's a nice average at 18.3. I think back to that overtime game, what was it, 2 years ago, 2010, here in Calgary.
201 yards, 2 touchdowns that game. Stampeders kept him out of the end zone last year, but not here tonight. And 10 seconds left in this first half. There's a hot seat on the Stampeders sidelines right now.
Yep, Torrey Davis trying to stay as far away from the coaching staff as he possibly can at this moment. And I'm guessing that will be addressed at halftime. A couple of penalties that have cost Calgary in this first half.
5 lead changes in the half. A booch kick bouncing down at the 30, but Taylor still gets his hands on it. And he'll be dropped at the 40 with time for one more play. Chroma and Hurl tagging down Taylor.
Okay, OC, I'm gonna make you the offensive coordinator. Do you just rear back, throw one, and hope you get a pass interference penalty or a miraculous catch, or you just kneel down, take your lumps right now, and go and regroup?
Well, based on recent history, I think we've seen Calgary do it twice in the last 2 years with success on the final play.
Nick Lewis has been the guy. Looks like they're going to go into a victory formation. Well, that's not what it's called in this case, but that same formation.
Regroup formation.
Regroup formation.
We'll reboot for the second half.
That's right.
Glenn takes a knee. Lots to talk about in our first half. 5 lead changes and a 21-15 Saskatchewan lead.
Live at the Half is brought to you by GMC Sierra. We are professional grade.
Milton, will you do us a favor and break down the halftime stats, please?
Thank you, Jock. This is a well-played game so far. Both teams are having decent offense outputs. I think the big concern in the second half is who's going to continue not turning the ball over. Whoever can do that will definitely win this game.
Let's go now to Jermaine Franklin, who's standing by with Odell Willis.
Odell was quite the half with so many lead changes. What's it like for a defense to know that they got to make those stops once in a while since it's going so back and forth?
I mean, a game like this, we just got to be sound to our assignment and pay attention to detail, because right now, that's the only thing we beating ourselves on. We shooting ourselves in the foot by detail. We're going to go in, regroup, come back outside, pay attention to our keys, and hopefully we get a different outcome.
You held the Stamps to just 22 yards rushing. What are you doing right in that regard?
I mean, we know they're going to run the ball. They're going to try to get after us, but that's the thing. We want to stop the run and make KG beat us. I mean, that's the whole thing. If KG can beat us, oh, well, but we're not going to give up the run, so we're just going to buckle down even more on the run and see what we can do about the pass later on.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
The only team with a road victory so far this year in the Canadian Football League has the lead. Headed to the second half at McMahon. We're headed to the sidelines. And here's Kevin Glenn with Jermaine Franklin.
Kevin, unfortunately, penalties on both sides of the ball, stalled drives and continued drives for the opposition. Is that something that needs to be tidied up for the second half?
No, we got to get rid of those things. And if we play a penalty-free, turnover-free second half, we should be all right.
You talk about the play of the offense, a good first half. How do you continue that in the second half?
We just got to keep focusing on what we're doing, our game plan and our assignments. But we still left some plays out there. And the thing is like I said, we take some of those penalties back. We could have had a bigger drive late in the second quarter, but it's over with, it's done with. We flushed it. We got to come out here and play the second half hard.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
Roughriders have been good in the second half so far this year, outscoring their opponents 48-10.
And we'll get the ball first in this second half.
5 lead changes in one half. What do we have in store? Tristan Jackson gets things started with a return over the 50-yard line, down the sidelines, and R.J. Franklin, the last man to haul him down.
And he's hurt.
Jackson shaken up. And remember, he is now a big part of that defense with an injury to Eddie Russ. 69-yard return to kickstart the second half.
Boy, and he wasn't touched. That's a short side field return. Nice blocking up front.
Shifted gears on the kicker, and
Greg Newman got one. Mike McCullough got a nice block, point of attack. And he just got banged up a little bit on that sideline. But he did get up and is walking off now, and it looks like he'll be okay. But you're right, they need him on the corner now with the injury to Eddie Russ.
Little Olay tackle from El Matador, Rene Paredes. But R.J. Franklin saves a touchdown. But the year of the return continues.
If you could see a thought bubble on a kicker in that situation, it'd be pretty entertaining.
So a great field position start for this second half. At the Calgary 41-yard line. Grant looking short side, and that one hops incomplete. Intended for Dressler.
Well, the guys talked about it at halftime that Darian Durant's numbers aren't jumping off the page like they haven't the last couple of games, but he's making good decisions and is yet to again turn the football over. So you're looking at now 3 straight games and a half without a turnover on offense, and no team since 2002 has had a 3-game streak without a turnover.
Pretty modest numbers since he rolled up 390 passing yards in week 1, but tough to argue. 2nd and 10, and he has Getzlaff again, and Getzlaff's got a first down. 4th catch of the game for Chris Getzlaff, who has a touchdown.
By the way, there's probably a lot of fans that are wondering about that. It was thought earlier in the week that the Calgary Stampeders last year went 3 games, but there was actually a mistake in the stats, the league office, and they checked that out. Steve Daniel, our stats coordinator, checked it out, and the fact is just the Saskatchewan Roughriders since 2002, the 3-game streak, now 3.5.
61 yards on the day for Getzlaff. First down at the Stamp 30. Sheets. And he'll be pulled down at the line of scrimmage, and that's the Will linebacker, Chris Randall, who looks like he's got that spot for a while now. Checked at the strong side linebacker in place of the injured Demetrius Morley.
Also, they're talking about surgery for Morley, and that would mean that Chris Randall, you're right, he won that spot or was close to winning that spot. They won a spot on the team and on the roster to back up Morley coming out of training camp. And quickly, that's how fast it happens.
Passing situation. Getzlaff and Dressler crisscross in behind Durant. Looks like it could be a free play for Durant. And incomplete, intended for Dressler. But it appeared that Calgary had jumped offside.
Offside, Calgary, number 90. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Chris McCoy back in after sat down in Montreal as Ken Petway took over at defensive end. He goes to the sidelines. Justin Phillips is back in the Calgary lineup, his first game of the year. He'll take over at the end spot, number 44, coming off arthroscopic knee surgery in mid-June. 2nd and 3. Sheets. Bulldogs down to the 20 and should have a first down.
And if this is a first down, another example of a penalty extending the drive for the opposition. Kevin Glenn talked about it in that halftime interview with Jermaine, saying they've got to clean up the penalties across the board.
Calgary was offside 6 times in Montreal.
Now, an offside can happen. It's a better penalty than the penalties that happen after the whistle is blown. But still extends the drive for Saskatchewan.
First down at the 20. Lots of time. Dressler open. Dressler! Spectacular catch. Touchdown. He's going to have to catch his breath after that.
It was spectacular. The perfect word, Chris. Ball out in front of him, and I thought Dressler kind of hesitated there and then may have lost it. He didn't continued to sprint through the route when he made his break, and when he hesitated, that forced him to have to dive for it at the end. Either way, 6 points on the board. And he holds on the extra point.
The impact of that hit seemed to knock the wind out of him, but he's still rallying a bit here. But what a terrific catch. And his 4th touchdown of the year. Sheets with 4, Dressler 4. Lewis has his 4th tonight. And it's the biggest lead of the night on that great catch by Dressler. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Rona, proud partner of the Canadian Football League and its 8 teams. Well, we've got a highlight of the night candidate. We've got a highlight of the year candidate. A great catch by Snoop Dressler.
And he made it hard on himself with a little hesitation, but tremendous route running. Snoop Dogg wore his jersey in the concert. That's what you're talking about, right?
He is the toast of the Rough Rider locker room. Here's Larry Taylor on the return, and flags fly as he gets brought down before he reached the 20-yard line.
Great route running by Weston Dressler on Chris Randall there on that touchdown. Let me show you why it is. As he comes to the line of scrimmage, he's going to waggle outside again, and that's to get outside leverage, knowing he's going to run
Illegal
that corner
block.
route.
Calgary, number 24.
Watch that little bounce. There's that little waggle outside. Now he's got outside leverage. Now watch the hesitation here. Hesitated, dropped his feet, and then had to speed up, made it tough on himself, and the spectacular catch.
6-play drive, 41 yards, a 20-yard touchdown strike to Dressler. As Darian Durant has heated up. Saw that ball get loose there, and we took a couple of good looks at it. Dressler did secure it. Made the catch. McDaniel off first contact, rolling ahead to the 25 and a first down. 15-yard pickup. Biggest deficit in the game now as the Stampeders are down by 13.
When they're this pretty, they're worth another look. We did thought that the ball may have come out there a little bit, but it was on the arm of Randall and then back into the stomach without touching the turf.
That's exactly what I said, right? I'm like, we got to get you one.
Here's LaMarcus Coker up to the 29-yard line, about 4 for the backup running back.
Another penalty coming up here. I'm not sure. It was Marquay McDaniel, I believe, working on Mays.
Boy, the penalty's really becoming an issue now.
I'm not sure if this will be against Calgary or not. It looked like Mays.
Unnecessary roughness. Calgary, or Saskatchewan, number 38. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
We'll call it
Jackson, or was it Terrell Mays? I saw at the bottom of a pile they were wrestling.
So let's see if the Stampeders can capitalize. One of the late touchdown first half came after a Davis roughing play. Glenn ahead. Kevin Glenn some tough yards up near midfield. Shamari Williams and Chroma bringing him down. Kevin Glenn just 3 rushes for 17 yards coming into the game. And now the short yardage team comes on, led by the rookie Bo Levi Mitchell, who's an injury away from being the Calgary starter. Mark DeWitt now at center. Second and about a yard and a half. He'll slide right in. As he did in Montreal, he gets it with some authority.
Yeah, he did a couple of times in Montreal, and I mentioned back then how gutsy it is to go along the line of scrimmage like that in short yardage, but he has a hole when he gets to the line. He looks like he predetermines where he wants to go with it. All the way down the left side there and around the corner.
Couple of touchdowns for Bo Levi Mitchell. He threw both balls out of the stadium. Says he'll keep the first touchdown pass he throws. Now Coker inside. So Calgary down by a couple of scores here, trying to establish the run game. And
wow.
And the flags fly, and it's, we're pretty sure, 67 again.
Yep. Right, just a right jab at the bottom of the pile again. I believe it was on Tay George. And that was clear as day live.
An old teammate. And penalty's been an issue for Sumpas early in the year. And I'm not sure we said that in previous years.
Well, it was a blatant one. And these, you know, as I mentioned, the odd offside you can live with. But these are the ones that are controllable. He's on the far left here. And watch, Sumpas come into the pile. Okay, that's okay still. I mean, but watch. Now, Tay George turns around with the arm, but guess what the refs always get? It's the same in hockey.
Yep. Disqualification. Calgary, number 67.
Wow.
That's a 25-yard penalty.
That's a
after
shocker.
The play. It will be second down.
They always get the retaliation,
and Tay George waves goodbye. A little surprised at that.
That he got thrown out.
Yes.
Well, it was a punch, and he didn't hide it. And now they missed Tay George with the turn there, but they did get the straight punch.
But after last week's Winnipeg-Edmonton line brawl, maybe the officials are going to clamp down. Well, this puts Calgary in a real bind. Arguably their best offensive lineman headed to the showers as they look at 2nd and 30. And now DeWitt and Gott both along that offensive line. Kevin Glenn steps up, another flag. Glenn's had McDaniel but couldn't make the connection. Incomplete. And is this going to be holding against Calgary?
And I think this one's going to add on more penalty yardage. The Stampeders heading in the wrong direction.
Do the Roughriders back them up 10 more, or do they decline?
Holding. Calgary, number 63.
They'll decline it.
That penalty will be declined. We also have objectionable conduct, number 63, Calgary. That's a 10-yard penalty. It will be third down.
Well, this is John Hufnagel's got to get control of his football team. I mean, the retaliation you can control, and they're out of control.
So a hold, and then the unsportsmanlike for Gott. 3rd and 40. Back at the 27, and the Roughriders will get good field position, and 60 yards the difference in the game on the penalties so far. Here's Sanders, and he tripped up on the play up around the 45-yard line. Weston Dressler, the envy of the Saskatchewan Roughrider team, and not just because of his SportsCenter highlight catch here tonight. With more, Jermaine Franklin.
That's right, Chris. Earlier this week, Dressler was just relaxing in his bedroom when his phone started blowing up with tweets and texts telling him that Snoop Dogg was wearing his jersey at a concert in Saskatoon. Now, Dressler said he thought that was pretty amazing, and so did his teammates. Maybe too amazing. As Darian Durant did tell Dressler that he was jealous. Dressler was happy he finally had something up on his quarterback. But Durant said that there was Snoop trivia in the room, and Dressler didn't get a single answer right. Perhaps it's sour grapes, but we couldn't tell, obviously, with their connection for that touchdown just a little bit earlier.
Yes, he is the envy, and he has the ball. Randall will bump about around the 50-yard line, and Darian Durant is now 8 for his last 9. 2 touchdowns in that and 93 yards.
Yeah, but let's be clear on the Snoop Dogg trivia. Dressler didn't know a song. But Snoop Dogg knew which jersey to wear in Saskatchewan. And I'm guessing it's safe to say the fans went nuts in Saskatoon when they saw him come out with it.
2nd and 6. Short drop, and he'll step up and gets down in a hurry. And another late flag, and what's this? McCoy was there. And McCoy isn't sure what it's all about. Let's see if it is McCoy that was targeted. Looks like it is.
Piling on, Calgary, number 90. That's a 15-yard penalty. Automatic, first down.
And that notepad of John Hufnagel's gets longer.
Well, you know, and this one's going to be probably the closest of all of them. You know, Durant scrambling to his right, and you can see from behind McCoy's coming, and there's a hook slide down. He kind of lies down beside him, falls over top. Well, that one's probably the weakest of all of them, but when you've had 3 or 4 like this, I think now the officials are human and they're watching for stuff like that.
Now Sheets bubbles back, cuts back, and right into the traffic. Jawan Simpson shuts him down. You know, with the 148-yard gallop, otherwise,
yeah,
Simpson and company have done a decent job on Sheets tonight.
Well, they have. I mean, after the half was just 53 yards rushing for Corey Sheets, 48 on that one play where he got outside, got it down to the goal line. So they were doing a pretty good job. Just 2 big runs, one from Durant, one from Sheets in the first half. The Calgary Stampeders just have to stop hurting themselves.
Loss of 1, 2nd, and a bunch. 6-pack of receivers for Durant. And across the middle, left from Hill has the catch. It's a first down, but I think this one's coming back on a penalty against Saskatchewan. Holding call against the Roughriders.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 59. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Right tackle Chris Patrick.
He's working on Charleston Hughes, and Hughes tries a spin move on him. And when he does, he grabs him. Right tackle, Chris Patrick. Up, spin move inside, grabs him there, turns him with the jersey. And once that jersey pulls away from the body, no question the flag comes out from the official.
2nd down over. On the Roughriders side of half, it's 2nd and 21. Durant getting that one in. Out of the reach of Dressler, incomplete. So this time the penalty parade against Calgary doesn't bite them.
But Torrey Davis in the middle. Torrey Davis in the middle was in another fistfight or a pushing match at the very least with Dominic McCard, and the officials let this one go. Just take your attention to the center here. Dominic McCard's going to go out and help out on him. And right there, look at the punching match going back and forth. They let that one go.
Line drive, one hopper to Taylor. And great downfield cover again. Flying down there was Craig Butler to disrupt that return. Our sack tally brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check, and congratulations to Rough Rider fans who donated 57,000 pounds last Saturday. And this week, Tackle Hunger Night is in BC tomorrow night. Brent Johnson, who will be honored tomorrow, will be part of those Tackle Hunger festivities prior to the game. Down by 13, another flag. Seen a lot of nylon here in this second half, and a pass off the fingertips of Nick Lewis, and were there 2 receivers in the same spot for Calgary.
Yeah, there was, and this one was offside against Saskatchewan.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 41. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Tyron Brackenridge. Just under 5.5 minutes left here in this third quarter. First and 5, Stampeders. Rob Cote in the offense, and he wants to lead the blocks for Cornish, but nothing doing off that left side. And again, will they be able to generate much on the ground without Sumpas in on that offensive line?
Well, they've had to bring in Mark DeWitt, who normally would play center for John Gott when John Gott had an injury situation early on in the season. It looks like DeWitt's can play that right guard spot. Demetrius has been thrown out. There's Gott and DeWitt side by side with Middleton at left guard.
No gain, so 2nd and 5. Glenn swings it out. Marquay McDaniel the catch. Bumped out at the first down stick by Chris McKenzie.
And could force Dave Dickinson calling the plays to go to a quicker passing game like we saw on that one. It was just 2nd and 5, so that play would obviously is a good call for that scenario. But whether it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and long, try and get the ball out of Kevin Glenn's hands quicker and then hope that his receivers can make the plays in the open field.
Rob Cote is going to bring in the play from the sidelines.
Well, and that's another way to help. Bring in a fullback either in the backfield or line Rob Cote up as a tight end, which he often does, and it widens the corner against guys like Brent Hawkins and Odell Willis.
So first down at the 25. Roll to the right side, and another catch for McDaniel. And another first down across the 35. 5th catch of the game. One thing about Kevin Glenn and his adjustment to the Calgary offense, he has been a former teammate of 4 different Calgary receivers. McDaniel and Bauman in Hamilton, Robbie Bryant and R.J. Franklin in Winnipeg.
Should be some chemistry there. Just quickly show you that reason you bring in a tight end. Makes it a little tougher for Odell Willis to track him down from the backside. Longer way to go.
11 for McDaniel. And another quick one. Cornish drops the ball. Ruled incomplete. John Cornish just doesn't look on his game, does he?
Well, you know, he did in that first week, but he played because LaMarcus Coker was a healthy scratch that week, so he played every rep. And you know, most running backs will tell you that it's in the second half late, once they played the entire game, that they really feel like they're getting in their groove. And when he's been rotating now with LaMarcus Coker, you're right, it just doesn't seem the same.
2nd and 10. Glenn over the middle. Completion made. Nick Lewis converts again at midfield. 3rd 2nd down conversion catch for Nick Lewis on the night.
This is called football IQ. Not necessarily using his size or speed or route running or anything like that. Just taking a look at the defense, seeing that it's a zone defense, and then sitting down in the hole of that zone.
Number 12 in CFL history in catches. Here's Cornish. Straight ahead, and Shamari Williams will help toss him down.
Well, they're going to have to lean on Nick Lewis big time to come back in this game. He's their money receiver. Another big game for him tonight. And usually when he's catching the ball, the chains are moving forward. We talked about that early on. A couple first down catches here tonight and a touchdown.
And the Stamps have something going here. This is the 8th play of the drive. They're into Rough Rider territory. 2nd and 6. Time for Glenn. And the pass complete. It's another first down catch for McDaniel. And I think that's his third in this drive.
That's the chemistry, and that's the heads-up play by Marquay McDaniel. First of all, the chemistry. Watch how he comes off the line in here. But I want to show you the top of the route and how important it is that Marquay comes back to the football. He's going to come back and take an extra step back there. That little step gets the separation on Terrell Mays he needs. That's the chemistry between Glenn and McDaniel.
Back to Cornish. Glenn to the other side. Low delivery. McDaniel off his shoe tops has the catch. Short yardage. Top receiver for Calgary and Montreal with 4 catches and 85 yards. And he has been active again tonight, winning the starting job in week 2 after Landon Talley started the year.
Well, coming into this week 2, he had the second best average in the top 10 of the receivers listed in the stats for the CFL. Best average was Brian Bratton in Montreal, but McDaniel had that 18.4 yard average coming in, which means he's getting the ball deep too.
Stamps try to keep this drive alive. Kevin Glenn downfield, wanted Bryant, and overshoots the intended target.
Well, Bryant is not one to complain or make a fuss whether he's touched or pushed or grabbed at all. I thought that Nick Graham might have got away with one here. I thought there was a little grab and tug at the top of this route. Little inside cut. He's okay so far, no penalty there. I thought that right there might draw a flag as it turned the shoulder of Romby Bryant, but no penalty flag on the field. And Bryant did not argue.
So Rene Paredes will come on. It'll be a 44-yard attempt. And El Matador nails that. And now a 10-point game. Well, last week, Calgary let go a 12-point lead with less than 3 minutes to go. They're down by 10 here with a whole quarter left.
You know, fairly similar stats in the top half of those columns, but penalties, a big difference here in this game tonight. Calgary taking some bad ones. And again, now we've gone 3 games and 3 quarters for Saskatchewan, no turnovers, but Calgary hasn't turned it over in this one tonight either.
No, it's impressive what Saskatchewan's done protecting the football. We know it's going to end, and somebody's going to say it was our fault for bringing it up again, but that is impressive that they've gone, 15 quarters now without.
Absolutely, and it's you know, that kind of game where one of those turnovers could be a big difference maker.
As it was last week in Montreal.
Absolutely. Interception from Kevin Glenn.
So we start the fourth quarter, 2nd and 12 Saskatchewan. At the 33-yard line, seam right, gets lap, first down. He's had a big night, as he so often does at McMahon. 5th catch for Chris Getzlaff and up near midfield.
Well, we showed you Nick Lewis doing it. And Getzlaff, look how his angle to stem outside. And the reason he went so far outside on that stem was to pull the linebacker Malik Jackson out there with him and then sneak him behind him.
Got off to a shaky start last year, was determined to change that this season. Has he ever? 17th catch of the season. Touchdown here tonight, first down, and wide open. Jordan Sisco has a catch. That's his first of the night, had a couple for 53 yards against BC. And with Rob Bagg gone onto the 9 games, Sisco becomes a more important part of this Saskatchewan offense.
Yes, he's going to get a lot more playing time. Darian Durant's got a lot of time to throw and find him on the sideline. Take a look at that protection up front, and you wonder if the Calgary Stampeders are going to have to start to send some pressure, maybe linebacker pressure, maybe from the secondary. Durant's got lots of time, waits, finds Jordan Sisco open on the sideline.
Well, it was heartbreaking news when we heard about Rob Bagg yesterday, placed on the 9 game.
It really is. And
a 3rd ACL injury.
Yeah, and I sent out a little Twitter message to both him and Buck Pierce, similar guys that you just feel for because they're so hard-working and tough guys, and they just have had bad luck when it comes to injuries.
First down, Roughriders. 4 receivers wide side. Durant the other way, and Dressler has the catch. Working on Brandon Smith, and Durant shaken up as he got hit releasing the football.
He's just trying to regroup now because does he have an issue with his
Yeah, you wonder if he got poked in the eye here. And now he calls off Drew Willie. He's going to try and hang in there.
Well, and like we mentioned, the Calgary Stampeders, where they're going to start coming with some pressure. Well, they do. Here comes Eric Fraser, the safety, and Malik Jackson, the linebacker, to get that pressure on Durant and start to make him a little more uncomfortable.
He just got a shot. Malik Jackson off the edge. Hands it off to Sheets, and he'll pound straight ahead for 5. Davis there.
Well, we wish the best of luck for Rob Bagg in his rehab. He's come back from the same injury on the other leg a couple of times, so he knows the protocol, he knows the procedure, and we wish him the best of luck.
We did ask to speak with him. He says it's kind of an emotional time right now. He'd prefer not to discuss it. But amazingly, he finished the game and actually practiced this week on a torn ACL. That's the kind of guy he is. 2nd and 5. Durant, 11 of his last 13. He's going to pull this down and brought down at the 13-yard line. He's got another first down. Drove the lane.
Sure did. Like it was one of those situations where he didn't have a comfortable passing lane to step up into, like Matt Dunnigan talked right at the beginning. Now he sees that open up and he thinks, hey, this is easier to run for the first down. Take it up the middle. Justin Phillips rallies to get to him.
First down at the 13. To the sidelines for Ephraim Hill. He'll try and cut back, got loose. Lunging, and where are they going to mark him? Touchdown! What a play by Ephraim Hill.
Boy, he was close to that sideline, but I think he stayed in bounds the entire time. You mentioned earlier on that he's got a little bit of pressure. In fact, he and Justin Harper, the 2 import receivers in this lineup outside of Dressler, who's just fine, have got a little pressure.
This will be reviewed by the command center, as all scoring plays are.
With Terrence Jeffers-Harris signed to the Riders recently this week, but I think he stayed inside. They're going to review it.
That is spectacular, too.
I thought the first time he might have stepped out of bounds, but did he down here by the goal line right there?
That still looks like there may be green, and you might need a bigger screen than the one we have to tell.
Yeah.
Boy, that is sensational.
It's amazing what a guy on the depth chart behind you will do to light a fire under an athlete. Ephraim Hill had just 4 catches coming in after 3 games, and
they're still looking at
play
it.
Is under review.
Let's take a look. Right there, I thought that foot might have been out of bounds, but clearly he's not there. Now the question is, just before he goes airborne there. And from that angle, it looks like the heel may be.
And how about a nose for the end zone?
But when we saw it from that back angle, I wondered, like you did, Chris, if there was grass in between. And let's take a look.
Right there, it's still hard to tell if that's enough to overturn. Getzlaff with a touchdown. Dressler with what we thought would be the most impressive touchdown of the night, and now Ephraim Hill has his contribution to highlight of the night, and well, that's one that may negate. That might be enough.
This may be coming back. That looks like his heel's on the white stripe. It twists inside. Well, this is a close one.
is it ever?
But if his heel is on the turf there and not in the air, like right there.
It's either a touchdown or a first down on the 3. Well, it might even be 2nd and inches on the 3. They had to get just beyond the 3-yard line for a first down. Ephraim Hill spent the offseason training with Darian Durant. You thought that might kickstart him to a great start to the season.
After review, the player stepped out of bounds when the ball was on the 2-yard line. It will be first down, Saskatchewan, on the 2-yard line.
Well, they're ruling him out at the 2, so it is a first down, but not a touchdown.
And that's one of the reasons that it was the right thing to do, to review every scoring play, because you want to get it right. And that final angle that we had showed his heel by less than an inch almost on the white stripe right there.
I'm not sure they got the spot right, did they?
I thought it was on the 3 that he put.
Should have been on the
down.
3, which might have been better for the Roughriders because it would have been 2nd and inches and given them an extra play, but Corey Sheets wants to make that a moot point. He is stopped at the 1. Fred Bennett prevents a touchdown.
Well, gives the Calgary defense a chance, and Fred Bennett does it on first down, and the reason he gets the stop is because he twists Corey Sheets when he makes contact.
Allows the Roughriders to take a little more time off the clock.
And Sheets runs into the back of his receiver, Justin Harper.
Stamps got a goal line stand against Toronto. Drew Willie. And Willie's not going to get there. He's stuffed.
Comes down to 1 down. Now will Corey Chamberlain kick a field goal here on 3rd down? You know, I'm just going to say for the record, I'm not a big fan on the goal line of emptying the backfield and basically telling the defensive front that you're going to go quarterback sneak.
Give them more to think about.
Even if you take the attention of a D lineman away for a split second, they're going to go.
3rd and goal with Hughes and Sheets behind Willie. Shulligan at tight end. Corey Sheets, airborne, touchdown. Just like last week. 2nd of the game and now 5 on the year.
Well, he wasn't taking the chance of getting twisted around like he did from Fred Bennett. And by the way, one of the reasons you empty the backfield is to hope a linebacker goes with one of those backs. But I like to leave him in there as an option, at least one. Corey Sheets was that guy up over the top.
Saw that leap against the BC Lions last Saturday, and he caps a 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Milo to make it a 3-score game. 17-point lead with 9.5 minutes left. This is Our League is brought to you by Nissan and by popular demand in the TV truck tonight. We salute the Outriders in the great tradition of the Calgary Stampeder cheerleaders over the years. 25 members, 3 rookies on this year's crew. So many community and charity events throughout the year. Last year, the Outriders volunteered over 2,000 hours in schools, hospitals, and charitable events.
Outstanding. Funny, we got a long line of volunteers to work on this feature.
This one done in more detail than most. Great relationship with the Alberta Children's Hospital. Pre-game visit to the Alberta Children's Hospital the day before each home game. Also heavily involved with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada, Scotiabank Marathon, Tim Hortons Camp Day, and for the second year in a row, they participated in the Hike for Hospice Calgary, raising over $2,000. So we salute the Outriders. Their team is down by 17. Kevin Glenn's got to go to work, and there's a knockdown by Brackenridge on a pass intended for Nick Lewis.
Well, now he's got to work against the clock and get in and out of the huddle as quickly as possible.
Do we have to give the other 7 cheerleading teams equal time now?
Well, it's a good point, and we'll have to get volunteers in each city to try and shoot those features.
I think we could get that
work
done.
on that.
Yep. Second and 10 for Kevin Glenn. Pressure on, but he stood in, and there's another drop for Cornish.
Abraham Chroma was right in his hip pocket. But I'm with you, Chris. It's not the same John Cornish we saw in week 1. I mean, whether or not he gets the first down, I mean, this is catchable. It's right in his hands. Wasn't like Kevin Glenn put a fastball in there. And you never know whether, you know, a John Cornish right on his game can break a tackle.
We've got him with 3 drops on the night. Here's Sanders, and he gets buried. Great downfield cover by LaMarcus Coker. No return. CFL on TSN, Wendy's Friday Night Football tomorrow, live from BC Place. Eskimos and Lions kickoff. Live coverage gets underway 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on TSN Mobile TV.
Can't wait for the matchup, that BC offense against Edmonton D.
Corey Chamberlain telling us yesterday he thinks those are the 2 best defenses other than the one he coaches, the Lions and the Eskimos.
Of course, worked with the DBs in 2008 here in Calgary. Chris Jones was the defensive coordinator that year.
Corey Sheets trying to put a dagger in the Stampeders on this drive and kill some clock. Corey Chamberlain on game day will always wear his Grey Cup ring from 2008. One here as a member of the coaching staff with the Calgary Stampeders.
And if you saw our pregame show, you know that Mike Tomlin, in the National Football League, a mentor for Corey Chamberlain, a guy that he really believes he sort of follows in his footsteps, a guy he met back in Tampa Bay when Tomlin was working with the DBs there.
So there are players on the team that have to be educated about what it's all about, the Grey Cup. That's the goal, to get a ring. Some new players here may not be as aware of it, and this is a cause for concern. A guy that Corey Chamberlain shaped in the early days of his career, Brandon Smith, who has become such a mainstay in the secondary of the Stampeders.
Well, and remember, Keon Raymond did not dress for this game tonight. And it looks like Brandon Smith in a tremendous amount of pain as they work on that knee.
Pat Clayton, one of the best in the business. And now John Huffnagel wants to come out and take a look at the ace of his secondary. Long night becoming longer, and there's Keon Raymond on the sidelines. Groin injury keeping him out this week.
Brandon Smith injured, just throwing his body in there on run support on that last Corey Sheets run. You're going to see him to the left of your screen just dive in there. Here comes 28, fearlessly trying to cut off Corey Sheets here, and he gets caught. I believe his own teammate rolled on the back of his legs.
Now looks like collided with Charleston Hughes, who got the worst of it. Side swipe by the defensive end.
A couple guys that have been underrated in their last couple of years. Brandon Smith, one of them, and Keon Raymond, the other, as far as the top defensive backs in this league.
5-year man, Smith to the sidelines and getting a little weight on that leg, which is a good sign. 2nd and 6 at the 40. And Durant took a shot, but downfield for Getzlaff, incomplete. Darian Durant really took a hit. And he is helped up by Labatt.
Charleston Hughes has been a bright spot for the Calgary Stampeders in this one. This time he's been coming around the corner a bunch and going wide on his rush. That time he gets some good push up the field and then comes underneath that.
Milo to kick it away. Taylor at his 26. And he'll be angled out. At the 34-yard line. Still time for the Stampeders, but they've got to get going now with Kevin Glenn at the controls. Half of the 4th quarter remaining.
Yeah, they got to start pushing the ball. They got to start taking some chances. Trying to go deep. You know that the Saskatchewan defense will be keying in on Nick Lewis, number 82.
Saskatchewan has outscored Calgary 14-3 in the second half, and now have outscored their opponents 62-13 in the second half of games this year. Glenn for Bauman, he's got the catch, and Mays forces him out near the first down. 4th catch for Chris Bauman, who sat out last week, and back in this week for Jabari Arthur, who went on the 9-game DL.
And again, though, clock management, I mean, this is a team that's got to start to get a little urgency in their game and get in and out of the huddle, and they're kind of taking their time getting in and out of the huddle here.
2nd and short. Coker with the burst. He's got the first down at the 45.
Now here's what I'm talking about. Now they've got to get back in the huddle, maybe even call 2 plays, and now they're going to start calling it on the line. Kevin Glenn has had enough of this. He's got to get those guys, instead of walking around, kind of milling around, get in there, get the play, and get ready to go.
Directing traffic with Coker as his running back. Glenn looks down the rail, and there's a pass interference call as bumped out of bounds was Romby Bryant, the intended target, who couldn't get near the ball.
Well, I don't think Kevin Glenn could even see Romby Bryant behind the coverage of Nick Graham, but he throws it to him anyway because he knows there's contact.
Saskatchewan, number 22. Automatic first down.
See, watch Nick Graham here. He just kind of blankets him right there, but he knows there's contact, so throw it out there and you'll draw the flag, and that was the correct call.
17-yard penalty. And the Stamps have a first down in Saskatchewan territory at the Roughrider 47. And buried David Vakune, Keith Shulligan gets the sack. 2nd sack of the year for the Alberta native.
I think the first one was week 1 against Henry Burris and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but a little bit of a twist up front. Kevin Glenn frustrated after taking that one going down because he needed a split second longer at an open receiver in a throwing lane, and Shulligan shut the door.
2nd and long, open is Bauman, he's got it! Taken down at the 21, but Chris Bauman has another catch. And maybe starting to realize some of his vast potential.
Well, he's a big target. A guy that he's got to produce this year. You got to believe it's his time. He's got to either do it now or people in the Calgary organization will lose faith. But a big play down the seam.
Here's Glenn looking for Lewis. Nick Lewis to the end zone. Touchdown.
No way you're stopping the Lewis train on that type of play from behind.
Stampeders getting back in it. Impressive drive by Kevin Glenn.
Remember, a week ago, Calgary was down by 12. Up by 12 against Montreal with 2:42 to go and lost the game. Can they make a miraculous comeback? And I don't care who you are not stopping Nick Lewis from behind when he turns the corner. That's 2:45. Heading towards the end zone.
Extra point for Paredes. Second touchdown of the game for Lewis and 5th of the season.
And he knows the score. That's why he's not having as much fun. He knows there's lots of work to go.
He doesn't want a Matt Dunnigan flag at the end of the week.
And that's a good move. He's the inside receiver. He runs that patting it out, one that he's made a living off of. But once he gets the corner, I believe it was Brackenridge that's trying to chase him 41. And once he gets his shoulders turned like that, man, you can't stop that guy right there. He's going to get in.
With the catch, another step up the ladder on the all-time list for Nick Lewis. He has passed Bobby Gordon and now number 22 all-time in receiving yards. And
who's next?
Guess who's next? The host. You're warned, Jock. He is on his way past you. And we've tracked Nick. If he has a typical Nick Lewis season, he'll be 12th or 13th by the end of the year.
But that's a good example of Nick Lewis showing you what's important to him, and that's winning. And he knows the score. He knows they're down by 10 still. Time's running out. They're going to need a bunch more big plays. So there's work to be done. The celebrating and goofing around on the sideline, it's okay early on, and it's a little bit of fun, and you know Nick Lewis has fun, but he's about winning. So he's going to roll up his sleeves and go back to work.
All kinds of time left. Bounce kick, and Sheets does well to field that inside the 10. And Corey Sheets and Duron Mayo with a heavy jolt at the 25. So now the Stampeders will try and get a quick 2 and out and sustain the momentum they built off that last offensive drive.
Well, and there is plenty of time, Chris. I mean, this Stampeder defense gets a quick 2 and out, and they've got a serious swing and momentum going in their favor. Eliminate any penalties the rest of the way on and get a 2 and out. And that's the leader of that defense right there, Juwan Simpson.
See if Darian Durant has a response. Fraser steps up, the handoff inside, and not much there. Saw Fraser and Malik Jackson flip again, as you have illustrated a couple of times tonight.
Well, they're bringing Eric Fraser down. Occasionally he'll drop off into his own coverage down low, and sometimes he'll go on the blitz. We've seen that as well. And then Malik Jackson rolls back to the middle to take his deep responsibilities.
Now Keenan McDougall checks in. A couple of Canadian safeties in the game. McDougall, the former Saskatchewan Husky. 2nd and 10. Durant throws. Getzlaff has got it. Very close to a first down. He'll be inches short, I believe, depending on the spot, and might have got a Drenner spot.
They're very close. I think they're going to take a look and bring the sticks in to see if he got there. And remember, Calgary Stampeders do not have Brandon Smith in their secondary. The tackle on that play on Getzlaff was made by Marvin White, backup DB.
Wearing number 20, first Stampeder to wear that number. First down. First Stampeder to wear that number since Doug Flutie. What a clutch catch for Getzlaff. That's an enormous play for the Roughriders to keep possession of the ball and get the opportunity to take more time off the clock.
Last 2 games, the Riders have gone to Corey Sheets to grind it out along the ground and eat up that clock.
Empty the backfield here over the middle. It's intercepted. The first turnover, Malik Jackson. And maybe it's last week in reverse. Darian Durant, first interception and the first turnover of the season for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Keeps Calgary very much in this game.
Well, that movement we've talked about, Chris, whether it's Malik Jackson moving back to safety or bringing Eric Fraser up and putting him low, and all that movement has caused some confusion on a key moment in the game. Darian Durant throws it right to Malik Jackson, does not see him. Figured he buried himself in the line of scrimmage. He drops out of there and threw it right between the 1 and the 1.
No lead is safe. Kevin Glenn, Larry Taylor, touchdown!
Calgary Stampeders knew what it felt like to be on the wrong side of a comeback. Now can they keep this up and be on the right side of one? That didn't take long. Good inside move, Larry Taylor, throwing lane for Kevin Glenn. Taylor does the rest.
Extra point makes it a 3-point game. And still outside of 3 minutes to go. A little test to the mettle of the Roughriders as they try to keep their unbeaten streak alive, but the Stampeders have life right now.
Starts with the first turnover for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2012. And the defensive system of Eric Fraser and Malik Jackson switching back and forth sets up the turnover. And that turnover one play later turns into a touchdown to Larry Taylor, and we've got a 3-point ball game just like that.
Got another thriller. And you know Calgary sat there all week trying to put that Montreal final 3 minutes behind them.
You know what it does too when you're on the wrong side of a game like that? It also gives you that belief that, you know, we can do it. It happened to us last week. Why not us this week?
Another bouncing kickoff, and Sheets is away. Up across the 30, 34-yard line. And
now the Saskatchewan Roughriders went away from what has been money for them in the last 2 games, and that's running the ball to Corey Sheets to work down the clock at the end of games. They got Sheets out of the backfield on that interception to Malik Jackson, so there was an empty backfield.
Rick Campbell sends in the signals. Remember, Brandon Smith is out of that defense. It's been beaten up. It shot itself in the foot a couple of times tonight. The game's on the line in the final 3 minutes. Here's Sheets. A little stutter step and not much across the 35. Maybe 3. As the 3-minute warning's given, Larry Taylor gets Calgary a little bit closer. Our game story brought to you by Mr. Lube. Get top to bottom maintenance and take good care.
Close game at the beginning of this one, and then it looked like the penalties were going to put Calgary in a deep, deep hole. They did, but the Stampeders have climbed out of that hole. We got a 3-point game with 2:34 and moving.
2nd and 8, Saskatchewan. Durant looking for Dressler and almost intercepted. Fred Bennett got his fingertips on that. But the Stampeders do force the 2 and out, and they'll get the ball back.
This time Malik Jackson lined up in there. Remember, he dropped back and was that guy who got the interception in coverage. This time he goes on the blitz, rushes the throw a little bit, and that one almost intercepted by Fred Bennett. Really amazing when you think Calgary's had to juggle their secondary so much with the injury to Brandon Smith, Keon Raymond. A couple big plays late here.
And on offense, they lose Dimitris Supas, and rallying here from 17 down with 9.5 minutes to go within 3. Larry Taylor trying to bust through, and he dropped the ball. I believe whistle had gone, and the officials quickly say it's Calgary football.
Well, let's take a quick replay look at this. Saskatchewan felt that it was loose before Taylor went down. Now the coaches can't challenge inside of 3 minutes.
But this will be reviewed. And the Roughriders may have a case here.
And it is going to be reviewed.
And this could be Saskatchewan football if it is.
The previous play is under review.
First turnover of the game was the interception thrown by Darian Durant, and now has Calgary given it back.
Well, it's very close. It's a matter as to whether or not Larry Taylor's knee, his right knee, is on the ground before the ball comes out.
Looks like it's Saskatchewan football. Abraham Chroma with the strip.
That is close. And I say it's close because it's the arm and elbow on the ground. Or does the ball slip out of there now?
I think that angle makes it look like he still has control, but
the ball looks like it's moving now and may have lost control there without either arm or knee on the ground. And then it looked like he gained control again, but was it just spinning in his hand and had lost control at that point?
Different angle. Is it out or not?
Well, it's clearly out there, and the question is that knee on the ground? I don't think it was.
All this with 2:14 on the clock.
Try and zoom that in a little bit more and see if that knee, I don't think that knee's on the ground there. And now is that ball loose? One more time.
Here comes Dave Foxcroft with the verdict.
After review, the ball carrier fumbled the ball. Saskatchewan recovered the ball. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan on the 39-yard line.
And it gets loud at McMahon as the visiting fans make the noise of approval. So the turnovers are even. The first got Calgary back in it, and now one that Saskatchewan's take away and get them to reestablish control.
Yeah, and all Dave Dickinson was saying to the defense as they were going on the field was just hold them to a field goal. Hold them to a field goal, get the ball back.
Almost start in field goal range, just inside the 40. You'd think it's Corey Sheets time.
Yep.
Ahead for 3. Boy, he did his best work last week against BC, 76 yards, but the bulk of that was in the 4th quarter, and much of it on the final drive to secure the win.
Well, there's 3 or 4 key plays in the ball game. This is one of them.
Just seems in the CFL, a lot of them happen in the final 3 minutes.
Got that right.
So 2nd and 8. They empty it out again. Pressure, and that's out of field goal range. Back at the 53. Charleston Hughes has had quite a night, and he's got another stat to show for it now.
Well, he has, but it's been one of those nights he hadn't really. We've shown you his pressures, but he hasn't got the payday. He gets the payday here, and I have to say I'm a little surprised that Saskatchewan empties the backfield in a play like that when they're all basically in field goal range, albeit a long field goal attempt.
Calgary.
The only thing they can't do is take a sack.
Calgary.
But Charleston Hughes, they take nothing away for what he's done in this game, because he's been that bright spot for the Calgary Stampeders. When they were going through penalties, he wasn't one of the guys involved. Kept getting pressure, didn't get the payoff. He did there. Doesn't get any bigger than that play.
So he takes them out of field goal range, and now Milo will try to pin the Stamps, make it a longer field. To this near side, and it'll bounce. It does bounce out before going out of bounds, so it hit the turf at about the 17, so a great job by Milo. And now 100 seconds on the clock. The Stampeders within 3.
And Kevin Glenn has a chance to make that whole week go away here, because 140 is plenty of time. And he heard nothing but questions all week long about the one throw, the one bad throw he made in Montreal. He's got 140 to make that all go away, so they're asking different types of questions this week.
12-year veteran goes to work. Wide side, Johnny Forzani a catch, Tristan Jackson there. Wants to hold him in bounds and will.
Plenty of time, but the receivers can help him by getting out of bounds quickly. Get what you can, get out of bounds quickly. That extra half yard's not going to help.
Second and 1. There's Bauman, another catch. And a first down for Chris Bauman, who now has as many catches as all last year with the Edmonton Eskimos.
And that's clutch, because it was a blitz pickup. You're going to see from the left of your screen, Tyrone Brackenridge coming on the blitz. Kevin Glenn recognizes it, and the hot man was Bauman. Turns, creates a target, and they keep the ball moving.
Downfield, and McDaniel was caught up there with Chris McKenzie, and it falls incomplete.
Where the ball was thrown, it looked like Kevin Glenn thought McDaniel was going to break it out at some point. He threw to a spot, and McDaniel, it was tied up there with Chris McKenzie. I don't think he could get to his route.
Kevin Glenn over 300 yards in the game, but has to continue to move the chain. 2nd and 10, and he's got Nick Lewis. And Lewis a hurdle! First down! Vintage Nick Lewis to keep Calgary in this game.
He pushes to the flat, one-on-one on Tyrone Brackenridge. That's been the matchup all game long, and Brackenridge gets caught up. Watch to the right of your screen. He can't get through that. Bit of a pick set, and then the hurdle by Lewis, and they're about a first down and a half away from field goal range here.
Saw that once in the preseason. Going to come at a better time than that. About 15 yards from field goal range. Might be thinking about more. Crosser, Robbie Bryant. And his first catch has him in field goal range. Stops the clock at the 23. Still 55 seconds left.
And Kevin Glenn hung in there and waited. Took a huge hit to get that one out of there. He had to wait for Robbie Bryant to come in. It's Brent Hawkins off the edge. And he has to wait for Bryant, so he hangs in there, waits, throws it, knows he's going to take a hit. And he has not got up yet.
So Bo Levi Mitchell will have to come in. He warms on the sidelines.
Boy, I tell you what, if Calgary wins this football game, he goes from GOAT to hero on that play alone, as Kevin Glenn had to hang in there to hit the crossing route.
And we could be watching Kevin Glenn's CFL career in the space of 2 weeks, because he has this ability. And yet we've seen the disappointment as well.
But he talked about letting it go and moving on, and He has the Stampeders in field goal range at worst right now with that throw.
We've seen these two teams go to overtime at McMahon in the past. Will it be on the foot of Paredes to tie it, or can Bo Levi Mitchell cap the drive?
Well, here's the reason that Glenn had to wait, because Robbie Bryant has to get through the linebacking core. So he's waiting to kind of weave his way through there, get to the other side. Now he's got running room. But the quarterback's got to wait for that to happen, and he takes the hit from Brent Hawkins. And the competitor in him says, wait. He knows he's going to take it. And then goes down. Woozy wants to see if it was caught, if they're okay. And he's going to have to go out for 3 plays.
So it's the rookie, Bo Levi Mitchell, out of Eastern Washington, who had a couple of touchdown sneaks in the game in Montreal. Remember, he didn't keep the touchdown or the ball.
Yeah.
Said he was waiting for his first touchdown pass. If it happens tonight, the Stamps are going to walk away with a dramatic victory.
And did they cut him loose to throw the ball in this scenario?
That's another question.
Yeah.
Looks like they will. And it's complete. Bauman, another catch. I believe it's the 7th of the night for Chris Bauman, 6 yards.
Well, good for Chris Bauman. Looks like he's arrived. Some clutch catches, too, in this comeback. And I love it. They have the confidence in Bo Levi Mitchell. And he's a confident young man. And they let him go out and keep throwing for the win here.
The guy they call the gunslinger. Keith Shulligan back on that Saskatchewan front four. Hand off to Cornish. And John Cornish lunges ahead after first contact and has the first down.
Good balance with the offhand for John Cornish. Good running backs will do this, and this is why you practice it all the time, every day in practice with that drill where you're running and you put the hand down, then you switch the ball, put the other hand. For this moment, key first down, gets Bo Levi Mitchell another set of downs with that balance with the offhand.
Cote in, Bauman out. 1st and 10. Short drop, end zone. Forzani can't hold on.
Perfect throw. Perfect throw from Bo Levi Mitchell. And he'll rally the troops again, but this is the throw behind. And he wants to put it on the back shoulder of Forzani and give him a chance. And how good was that? That hit his back shoulder. Bam, right off that back shoulder, and it just slips through his fingertips.
Kevin Glenn wanted to come on. Pat Clayton said no. So you have one more play, or has it been 3? It has been 3. He's available to come back if he's allowed. Mitchell in some trouble, scrambling into the corner. Incomplete, and a Calgary receiver down, but no flag.
I was about to say, as confident as Bo Levi Mitchell is, as he starts scrambling there, I was thinking, young guys, don't try and force it here. You've got the field goal for the tie. If you don't have an open receiver, throw it out of bounds. Not sure which rider had a chance at it. Was it James Patrick? Looked like he did try and throw it out of bounds. Robbie Bryant wanted a penalty flag.
Like he might have been tackled in the end zone. Instead, it's Paredes with 34 seconds left to tie it. And that means there's still time on the clock for the Roughriders. Short boot. Off the bar.
And in or off the bar and out?
It is in. It's being signaled in. And nothing's coming easy for John Huffnagel.
Well, the Stampeders, all scoring plays will be reviewed, but the Stampeders signaled that it hit the bar and went in. I didn't see a signal by the referee, but I think it did.
Better angle to get the ricochet. Just in case we hadn't seen it all. Paredes makes it a memorable tying short chip shot.
Hold was perfect.
29 seconds on the clock. And whoops. Getzlaf beyond the line of scrimmage. I don't think play had been whistled
No, they
in
haven't
yet.
whistled it in yet.
So he gets a break. Now we're ready to go. Tie game, Roughriders trying to avoid overtime. They've squandered a 17-point lead, but a shot for Dressler, and he drops it in behind coverage. Weston Dressler dropped what would have been a potentially game-winning catch.
Well, one, you're right. It looked like he could have turned the corner and gone with it, but he was certainly in field goal range and right in his hands inbounds.
Anything else to add to the drama? 24 seconds left, 2nd and 10. Durant over the middle, and Getzlaf can't make the catch, and neither could Quincy Butler, who almost had Calgary's 2nd interception of the game. Went to his top 2 targets, and that one through the hands of Getzlaf.
Corey Chambers got to kick this away with this amount of time on the clock. He can't turn it over with downs in field goal range.
So the Stamps still are a Larry Taylor return away from winning this in regulation time.
Absolutely. And they're in a point in the field where you can't kick it out of bounds or it's a penalty.
Conferring on the sidelines to make sure everything's clear, and looks like it's Bo Levi Mitchell's game to win now. Jermaine Franklin reporting that Glenn wanted to go in after the 3rd play, and Pat Clayton held him back. Milo's boot with a good Saskatchewan bounce. Taylor will step out at the 35-yard line. 10 seconds left.
Time for one offensive play. A similar play to the one that Dressler dropped on the sideline. And Kevin Glenn is going to come back in the game. Or did they not force the issue and take it to overtime?
The draw to Cornish. Spilled at the 40.
Take it to overtime.
Never dull when these two teams meet, is it? 9.5 minutes to go, a 17-point deficit. Losing his all-star right guard, Dimitri Sumpas, ejected from the game, but John Huffnagel's crew rallies. And now Corey Chamberlain's unbeaten start to the season will be on the line in overtime. Looks like Kevin's still in some discomfort.
Well, he wants to go and finish what he started after taking that big hit from Brent Hawkins to put Calgary in field goal range to tie this game.
Well, let's check the overtime rules, and a reminder that after a touchdown, you have to attempt the 2-point conversion.
That's right, and they'll start from the 35-yard line, 2 mini games, and whatever happens in the first game, the opposition will have to match.
Captains, for overtime, we will have maximum of 2 mini games. The winner of the coin toss will have the option to go on offense, defense, or choose the end. The league logo is heads, the team logo is tails. Saskatchewan, You can call the coin. Tails is the call. It's a head. Calgary chooses to go on defense. What end would you like to start on offense from? The first game will take place this way.
Calgary won the toss and wanted to play defense first, so they know what they had to deal with when they get the ball.
Yeah, you saw Mike McCullough's reaction. The coin flip is key in overtime because Calgary will know what they need. You can play 3-down football if you have to match a touchdown. And if Saskatchewan does not score at all on their opening possession, you can kick a field goal right away. So there is an edge, but there's a lot of football left. Two games into week 4 and just another barn burner in this league. It's been a great start to 2012, hasn't it?
Well, just coming off the heels of last week for Calgary, they could finish this comeback.
Trying to get the fans revved up. Double tight end formation to start. Short drop and a deep pass and an open man. And Getzlaf can't bring it in. A missed shot. So Dressler in the dying seconds, and now it's Getzlaf open.
Chris Getzlaf is going in here, and he's coming down towards the hash mark. Darian Durant wants to throw the football to his outside shoulder so that the safety for Calgary, Eric Fraser, can't get involved, and Getzlaf just can't get his body around the time.
Long shoulder. And now it's 2nd and 10. Here comes the pressure. And McCoy gets home and brings down Durant. And now are they even out of field goal range? Second sack of the game.
It's a long one, and they're going to give it a shot.
And just to go back, remember after the Larry Taylor fumble, a sack knocked Durant out of field goal range.
That's right.
Might have won the football game.
That was Charleston Hughes. This is McCoy. Full blitz from the Calgary Stampeders. I think Darian Durant saying all his receivers had their back because they didn't see the blitz.
So Milo from 50. 48's his long. 2 for 5 from outside 40. Pretty good boot. He's got it. Boy, that's a clutch kick to keep Saskatchewan alive.
Well, it gives the Rider defense a little bit of hope. I mean, now they just want to try and force Kevin Glenn and this Calgary offense into trying to match this. And
you come away empty, it's just about done.
Basically, yeah. Boy, Kevin Glenn, I like the demeanor he's taken onto this field.
You think 82's ready for a pass?
And he's walking on there with a purpose.
Trying to exercise the ghosts of a week ago. Week 4, but already a big 4-point game. Roughriders win, they're up by 6 over Calgary. Stampeder win, they're only down by 2. Open man, Rumby Bryant slips down to the 16-yard line. Good start.
Now it's a chip shot to tie at worst for Calgary. Good patience for Kevin Glenn, waiting for Rumby Bryant to open up in that curl. Had a nice throwing lane and put it on him.
Calgary just has to avoid the turnover now. That's the only way they don't at least extend it to a second round. Glenn back. Nicholas schemes over. Touchdown! A remarkable comeback and an overtime overtime win for the Calgary Stampeders.
And a veteran quarterback will be asked a lot of different questions this week in Kevin Glenn.
3 touchdowns in the game for Nick Lewis. A 4th touchdown pass by Kevin Glenn, who came off the mat to win it in overtime. What a night at McMahon.
And this a play I have not seen where Glenn rolls all the way to his right and throws it back against the flow to Nick Lewis. It looked like Dave Dickinson may have been holding this one back for the right opportunity to run it. And what a perfect time, because as we mentioned earlier, once 82 turns his shoulders, you can put the 6 points on the board.
Well, Calgary, you got yourself a quarterback who could get the job done in the absence of Drew Tate. Down by 17 with 9.5 minutes to go. No lead is safe. And this one turns out to be a Nicasso. Roughriders' first loss of the year. They're 3-1. The Stamps even their record at 2-2. In overtime, the final 41-38. So long from McMahon. SportsCenter is now